All right, we're live. Hello, everyone.
How's it going? Anyone in here yet?
Huh?
Anyone in here yet?
Yeah, there should be. Let's see, got a couple people on Facebook. Caleb says hello. Hello, Caleb. Nice to see everyone. Or nice to, oh, I guess I better, it's gonna hear my Facebook going off. It's gonna be awkward.
Yeah, I gotta mute that.
Yeah.
Dude, Facebook is doing live closed captions. That's interesting.
Whoa. Yeah, I just noticed that. I didn't know that happened.
That's cool.
For our Facebook stream, it made us choose a game, and so we just looked up Tavern Brawl, and there was a game called Tavern Brawl. I don't know what that game is.
Do you still have the background music going?
Oh yeah, background music is going.
Is it gonna loop the whole time?
No, I'll put some.
I mean, as much as I like it, we could loop it the whole time. I don't care. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hello, Isha. Welcome to the stream.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe.
Cool. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for showing up. Turn this music down just a little bit. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, Jesus. I have Facebook up, so it's gonna... Can I mute? Let's see. I have no idea.
You're trying to mute Facebook?
Yeah, just so it's not just so it's not ripping and roaring while we're talking.
Yeah. I've got both chats up, so I'll be able to see.
Cool.
We're trying something new. We're streaming on Twitch and Facebook at the same time because I know we have a little bit of a different following on both.
Yeah, and we've I haven't streamed in a long time, so hope everything is sounding good. Hope everyone can hear John and I think we're probably okay.
Yeah. If anyone recognizes our frame here, this is this is from our Kickstarter page. We used it for our rewards template, so.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, if anyone has any questions, you can start firing away. We're going to be doing a fun character creation thing, so as this hour goes by, we'll be we'll be asking for suggestions for character things, and then Caleb in the chat here will link us a poll for everyone to vote on.
Yep.
So it's going to be fun.
Yep, we're going to talk for a little bit and kind of go a little bit back and forth.
So, John.
Yes, James.
What's going on? Where are we at with Tavern Brawl?
You know, honestly, I'm tired of Tavern Brawl, and I think we're just gonna.
We're gonna quit.
Yeah, I'm not.
This is calling it quits here.
Yeah. No, we're kind of in a weird position because everything with COVID-19 going on. We're luckily in a good spot. We got extremely lucky with our Kickstarter, and we pretty much got in like a week before all the major closures and stuff here. So, but essentially, we're in the pre-production phase still. We're writing our script, which is kind of the most important part of our story here, and that's something that I know you and I both want to make sure we do it the right way. And
absolutely.
So yeah, James and I have been having many calls. It's a little difficult doing things we had originally planned to be doing some in-person writing sessions, but as the current situation is going, we are having to do everything just over video chat. So
Over video chat, which luckily we've been used to because that's how we worked for.
yeah.
That's how we worked for the Wayfarer.
Honestly, we're not like crazy inconvenienced by this, but we are thinking about moving forward, and as we get into later this year, our original filming dates were going to be the fall of this year, and now it's looking trickier with
yeah, everything is going to be I think it was already going to be difficult for us in the first place, being new filmmakers and taking on this big project, but I think with everything that's going on, it's going to definitely be more of a gauntlet now, because there's a lot of things we have to take into consideration, and of course we want everyone to be safe when we do start filming, and so John and I have been chatting about that while we write, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're kind of in the stage where we don't really know what's going to happen. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen by the end of this year. We could have a rebound with this virus, or it could kind of go away. Mm-hmm. There could be a cure. I don't know. So, but ultimately, we're planning on filming in Oregon, so we have to kind of follow the rules of what's happening in Oregon. And
absolutely.
If it's going to require us to wear masks, that's going to be tricky because, we don't know if we can have our actors.
Yeah, actors wearing masks in our fantasy show would be very strange.
Yeah, we'd have to do some. We'd have to do some different.
Well, we could write in some sort of plague.
Yeah.
We could write in the plague is happening, and and everyone is wearing masks. Although our tavern would probably be shut down if there was a plague going on.
Well, that's true. Yeah, they'd be straight up burning bodies, and
right in the street, and
yeah. Well, if anyone has any questions, feel free. We're answering anything silly or serious. We've got, if you don't have a Twitch account, I don't know how it works.
I think you do have to have a Twitch account too.
If not, we are on our Stormforge Studio Facebook Live as well. Mm-hmm. So if you follow us on Facebook, you can comment on the live video, and you can ask us there. Yeah, you're right, Caleb. Taverns never shut down. You got to stay in business, We're I'm hopeful about it. I'm thinking that, as we get to the end of this year, we're still figuring out the tax implications of our Kickstarter. And I know that that's one of the biggest aspects of us wanting to film this year, is because we don't want to have to pay an exorbitant amount of taxes on our what's essentially capital gains through our business from the Kickstarter. And so we're waiting, we're talking to some tax people, or if anybody is watching and knows a lot about tax or accounting.
Taxes in the entertainment business.
There are ways to avoid having the penalty be this year. I know, and we're looking into that because we really would like to have the option of going into next year of filming, especially if we're not able to do everything we want to this year. So
yeah, with everything that's going on.
Exactly.
Hello, Gennaro. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. So we've been working on our script like crazy.
Yeah.
When we very first started working together, John and I had a pilot script that I gave to him to read. And of course, that was 2.5 years ago, and
a lot has changed since then.
Story has changed significantly. However, the same kind of structure is still.
There's a lot that's still the same. I mean, that's I think why. I mean, that's why I'm part of this project, because I really liked your script, and I definitely think that there was a lot that needed to change. No offense to you, but
that was first draft, rough draft. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but for the most part, it was like really good, and I think I saw, I saw a lot in that, and I think where we're at, I think we definitely have a better story now, a more interesting story in terms of, like, I think it's more complex. I think we have kind of deeper, more real feeling characters that feel like, actual living, breathing people. And
Absolutely.
I think that is one of the big things that we were trying to go for, is that we want our story to be very character driven. And we've seen a lot of stuff, not pointing any fingers at any fantasy projects, but a lot of people try and bite off more than they can chew, and they don't spend the time and really flesh out their characters and flesh out their world. And I think it suffers because of it.
Yeah, I think what makes a really good story is not necessarily the setting, but the characters that are in that setting. I think I think a great story, you can essentially transplant characters from their setting to a different setting and still have an incredible story. And so that's what we've really been working on.
I got a few questions here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, so that is something we're looking at with financial aid. It is crazy to think that, we're in this position because of the virus, and that is something that we're, looking at, is hopefully there is some kind of, resource for us, that since essentially most of our filming plans have been thwarted so far, we don't know what's going to happen moving forward. But if they are, is that something that, for tax purposes, we can be helped out with, and not have to, because essentially without this virus, we almost certainly would have been able to film this year and have mostly everything done.
Yeah, and okay. So...
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't repeat the question.
Yeah. So he who is Matt said, so since your small business is affected by the virus, is there any financial aid you are eligible for because you've been impacted? So like John said, that is something we are exploring. We didn't plan on filming until fall anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's
that was lucky. And so we were already planning for further ahead down the line, but we're hoping that there's something we can do, and either be go into the new year and be able to film then, or something else. We'll see what happens.
So Elizabeth said, what's your biggest creative inspiration when working on film projects?
My biggest inspiration is I always like to, sometimes I'll be at work and I'll just turn on music that matches whatever kind of thing I'm thinking about, and I'll just be ripping and roaring, letting my brain go wild. I also like to watch movies that are in the same realm, to kind of see what they did right and what they did wrong. That's kind of what I do. I'm always my brain is always at 110% thinking about new ideas, and me and John have a meme that the jealous girlfriend meme. It's always, we're looking like, oh, new project over there.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
What about you, John?
That's hard. Biggest creative inspirations. In general, like for film projects, it's hard because I get really inspired by really random things. And so if I hear like 10 seconds of a song, all of a sudden I'll like imagine a scene in my head that goes with the song, and then I like build out an entire scenario from the scene. Or like I'll be watching another show and I'll see, a shot that somebody did, and then I'll start thinking like, oh, what if, we did this shot, and so little weird things like trigger me, and I get really hung up on stuff like that, which I guess is a good thing. But that's kind of the way my brain works when it comes to that. But in terms of Tavern Brawl, I mean, James and I have been inspired by a lot. For the Wayfarer, for the animation portion, obviously we were inspired by the videos from The Witcher and the Harry Potter Tale of Three Brothers is what it's called, I believe.
Yeah.
That kind of style. And then in the broader scheme of things, there are a lot of shows that inspire us, and a lot of fantasy works, and even stuff that's not fantasy has kind of inspired us. But it's usually stuff that's like heavily character driven, which I think that's kind of what's making a comeback on TV right now, is like people are kind of moving away from the sitcom-y type, more action driven, and people are getting into like the character driven stuff like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and even Game of Thrones at the start was heavily character driven.
Absolutely. Yeah, it almost reminds me of a kind of this dawn of multiplayer games, and how essentially single player games kind of stopped happening, and now there's kind of a want for that single player story that really grips
exactly. So my mom asked, how did we become friends?
The classic question. How did we become friends?
That's a great story.
It is a good story.
For those who don't know.
Yes. Gosh, my Facebook.
For those who don't know.
For those who don't know, John and I have been friends for, 10 years? Almost 10?
A little more than 10.
Oh, over 10 years. Yeah, so it was our freshman year in high school. John and I live in different states. I live in Oregon. He lives in Louisiana. But there was this author named Patrick Harmon. He wrote The Skeleton Creek. And he was having auditions for his new V book. And I only found out about these because my youngest brother, Brendan, wanted to audition, but he was too young. So he told me to audition. And so I ended up auditioning for this project, and I ended up getting cast in this project called Trackers. And me and my dad drove out to Walla Walla, Washington to film this thing for a month. And John was another cast member. I don't remember how you found out about the audition.
So I read one of Patrick's earliest books, Skeleton Creek. And actually, it was a funny story. I've told this to you before, but I was in my school library as a freshman, and we always could go to the school library in the reading time to go find a book. And if we didn't have a book to read during like the 20 minutes you're supposed to read, and so a lot of the people would just go to the library and like goof off for 20 minutes. And so I was one of those people, and I enjoyed reading a lot, but it just at that age I just wanted to go like walk around and do dumb stuff. And so, but if you didn't come back with a book, you'd get busted. And so we were about to walk out, and I was like, oh no, I need a book, hold on. So I like walked back in the library. There was one on a shelf, and I just reached and grabbed it without even looking, and like beeped it and walked out. And then I sat down on my desk, and it was Skeleton Creek. And so I was like, all right, I guess I got to read this. And so I started reading it and was like, oh, this is cool. Like it's a video and book, and I really like the story. And it was like kind of this ghost story. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And so I remember as I finished it, I was like, oh, let me look this guy up. And I went to patrickharmon.com or whatever. And the first thing that I saw was audition for Patrick's newest V book. And I was like, oh, that'd be fun. I'd acted a few times, just school plays and stuff like that. So I remember I made a video and I auditioned for Adam, which is your role, because that Adam was the most like me. And
he's like a tech-driven,
like a computer nerd tech guy. So I was like, okay, that's me. So I auditioned, and then I remember like that week, they selected it as the staff pick. On the site, which I guess meant they liked my video, and I was like, oh, okay. Like I kind of just did it as just a joke, and then sure enough, I got an email from Jeffrey. They wanted me to read for the other character, Finn, which was nothing like me, but it didn't matter. I was still just excited. He was like a BMXer, total like skateboard dude. So nothing like me at all. But I was happy to do it, and then I remember telling my parents that, hey, I got cast in this V book, and they want to fly me to Washington, and my parents were like, what? Because I hadn't told them anything, and so they were like, okay, is my son about to get trafficked
Yeah.
into some,
God.
you know, some kind of underworld operation here? And so I was like,
Yeah.
no, it's legit. Like, look this guy. So my parents were like, no, this is obviously not legit. And so I emailed Jeffrey, was like, all right, sorry, I won't be able to do it. You know, my parents don't think it's legit. And then Jeffrey was like, hold on, give me like your parents'
Give
phone
me your
number.
parents' phone number.
So he called them, was like, okay, we're not trying to like kidnap your son. This is legit. You know, and then Pat even called my dad, and they talked for like an hour. And then my parents are both like, okay, this is awesome. You should definitely go do this. Mm-hmm. And yeah, flew out there. Didn't know anybody. I was with my sister, and we met James and Chloe and Uriah and Morgan, and it was really awkward the first day, but James and I pretty much like instantly became friends because we just were like,
we both loved making videos, video games, you know.
Yeah, we were extremely alike.
Yeah.
So, and James's dad kind of was like my dad for a month, so we all got really close, and but then you know, James and I talked every now and then, but we hadn't talked in a while. Mm-hmm. And we met back up. I came up to a trip to Oregon back in 2017.
Yeah, 16 or 17.
Actually, I think it was earlier than that, because it was a year into me and Mackenzie dating, so it would have been about 15 or 16.
Okay.
And I was like, oh yeah, James lives up in Oregon. And so I messaged him. I was like, hey, this would be fun. Let's like catch up. It's been forever. I haven't seen you. So we talked and just caught up, and then, you know, we were messaging each other back and forth. And then James one day was just like, hey, I've got this idea. Whenever you want to hear it. And this was the day of the Oscars in 2017. Yeah. And I remember we had this huge Oscars viewing party at our house, and me and Mackenzie were like cooking, cleaning, like just, and so I saw this message from James, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, I'll get back to him. And so James, I left him on red essentially for like
yeah, so I was like, I had been working on Tavern Brawl for 6 months before I had asked John if he would be interested in working on it with me, and it was like so like I finally got the kind of the courage up to message him, because, you know, it's a big project, and John he's got a film degree, and so I was like, all right, this John will have my back. And
and I didn't.
And I sent him the message, and left me on red for a day, and I was just like, the whole time I was like, oh man, he ghosted me, he doesn't want, he's not interested. Not interested. And then he was like, oh, I think I even said, I was like, hey man, you know, it's okay if you're not interested, you know, not a big deal. My feelings don't be hurt. And you were all like, oh no, I am interested. I just I was busy.
Yeah, like, I was. You can ask Mackenzie. We were extremely busy that day, and then
I believe it.
And then we talked for like 2 hours, and I read the script and was like, okay, this is awesome. And then James was like, all right, I'm ready to launch the Kickstarter. I'll add you to it. Let's launch it. And I was like, oh no. I was like, let's do this instead. So we talked more and more about, you know, our strategy and stuff. And
yeah, absolutely.
But ultimately, that's how we rekindled our friendship.
Yeah. But yeah, so we spent a month living together in Walla Walla, becoming fast friends, filming trackers, which was
and still to this day, it doesn't really feel like I don't know. We've both been able to like kind of pick up where we left off pretty easily.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know Elizabeth feels that same way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was a really incredible experience, and made some good friends doing it.
Yeah. Yes, the stream is sponsored by Mountain Dew.
Yes, Mountain Dew.
If anybody knows anyone at Mountain Dew and they want to donate to our project,
please send them our way. Caleb, everyone forgets Caleb. Yes, Caleb, during this time, he did not audition for Trackers. I don't know if I've ever told you this, John. He got into my email after I got cast as Adam. He got into my email and took Jeffrey Townsend's email and he was upset because we were supposed to start. He was going to be a freshman, and we were going to do weight training together. And so he emailed Jeffrey and was like, when is he going to be back? Because we're supposed to do
You're
weight
taking him
training
from
together.
me.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Needless to say, my parents were not happy. I think Jeffrey thought it was just kind of funny.
Funny, yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
It is amazing the things that can change your life, and the fact that like if I hadn't have just reached my arm in and grabbed that book, I wouldn't know James. I wouldn't know really any. We wouldn't be here right now.
This wouldn't have happened.
It's literally like the butterfly effect. So
you'll have to. Austin says you'll have to add extreme sports to get Mountain Dew money. So.
Oh yeah.
We'll make up a sport, a Tavern Brawl sport.
That sounds good to me.
Let's see. Do you want to do our first poll?
Yeah, so you have to explain to everybody what's going on who don't know.
So for everyone who's new to the stream, we are creating a character for Tavern Brawl. This character is going to be a regular in the tavern that Oscar and Ayla own. So they will be in the tavern most of the time. There will be a regular just drinking with their buddies.
I think before we do that, let's give, for everybody in here, let's give them a little bit of setting for our story that a lot of people might not know where our story takes place. So you want to tell them?
Yeah, absolutely. So our story is a fantasy story, and the idea for Tavern Brawl came along because I was really interested in the idea of, rather than seeing the story of the adventurers, even the unlikely adventurers, the lowly people who come into the bar, that's where they meet. That's a D&D trope, is you all meet in the tavern. So for one reason or another, you've got this eclectic group of people who end up being in the same tavern, and somehow they come together either via the tavern keep gives them a quest, or there's a big brawl and they all get taken to jail together. And so I thought the idea of seeing that story, but from the point of view of the tavern keep, was a really, really interesting story.
So that's kind of like where we started, and now we've got a pretty interesting set of characters. And so one of our biggest challenges has been to add depth and story and history to our world. And so that's been something we've been working on in our first draft of the script, is trying to, flesh out everybody. And so, where our story takes place, this is the Wayfarer's Rest Tavern, which is the shirt that we're wearing. But these are our Kickstarter shirts that if you donated, you will get. Mm-hmm. And the Wayfarer's Rest Tavern is the central location in our story, and this is one of our biggest expenses is going to be to build this set. Mm-hmm. And so most of our story is going to take place here. We have a few other locations that we're working on, but for the most part, our story takes place in this tavern. And so the character that we're going to create now will just be a regular. We've got a few other regulars that are going to be part of the script. Some that are, more major characters, some that are more minor.
This particular regular character will be part of a group of regulars that are all fast friends in the tavern. So Caleb, if you want to post the poll for the race of the character, our world has 5 races. We have humans, dwarves, elves, halflings, and goblins. So go ahead and vote on what kind of race you would like to see this person be.
And my mom asked if there's going to be any female leads in the new script, and yes,
absolutely. In fact, I believe our female characters, we have more female characters than we do have male characters. We're really interested in having strong female leads.
We're into the idea of, so like one of our big things is we're trying to avoid the tropes and trying to like kind of break the tropes that a lot of fantasy stuff follows. And so we kind of have, both through watching and reading various things, know all the typical female fantasy tropes. There's like 4 different categories, and so we're trying to be creative and have women characters who feel real, and they're not just these one-sided, kind of tack-ins that are plot devices, but instead are like actual living, breathing characters that feel good. And it's, we will admit it's challenging for us because we're not women, but we have to approach it from the viewpoint that we are, creating a person who's living and breathing, and how would they react to this, what would they say to this, that type of stuff. And so we really want to do right and have these characters feel really real. And we do have more female characters than male characters, so
yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of been it's always been a goal of mine and John's, I think, to cast we don't want all the characters to be white dudes.
Yeah,
that's boring. And
well, yeah, especially in a world where we have so many different races.
Yeah, absolutely. And so diversity is really important to us. And so that's what we're working on with those characters. Let's see.
Yeah, if anyone, so this link is in the chat if you can't find it. It's on Twitch and on Facebook. You can just click it, and there's just a little easy poll.
So we'll check up on that in a couple of minutes. And
if anyone has any other questions for us, you feel free to ask.
Yeah, let's go through.
Silly or not.
Make spleen ball a thing. That was Levi. Spleen ball was a thing that a good friend of ours made for a D&D game, and they worked really, really hard on it, and it was a lot of fun. But I think we only played one, maybe two sessions of that game. But that was back in right after high school, and so
sure.
Get people dodging out of the way.
Yeah.
Cameron says, "I'm just here for the sick background music. Thank you, sir. This would be the Fighters. They make lots of music, and so they're good. They're good. They're good background music to have in there." Any plans for musical numbers? Not musical numbers in the sense of a musical. However, we are.
I'll have to admit, we did talk about it.
We have, and in a way, you could. Have sort of musical numbers,
but not in the Broadway sense of everybody stops and starts singing. But we are going to have a lot. Music is very important to our show, and
just taverns in general. It's like, what do you have in taverns? You've got music. You've got drinking, and you've got fighting.
That's pretty much it.
And so music is something we're really going to focus on, and we are going to have some good musical bits, I think, all throughout the show.
We were asked, is there going to be any more animated scenes like in the Wayfarer? That's a good question.
It is something we've discussed.
It's not something we'll rule out. I think if we do it, it will be stylized for sure. It will be tastefully used. I don't see us ever doing anything fully animated, but I could see either there being another kind of storytelling, because there are a few other kind of stories that we want to tell, and we have the option of maybe incorporating it in the title sequence if we go that route, or there's options of if we ever decide to do any kind of side stories. I don't see it being a big part of our show at all, but
I think we'll probably use that same type of style, but it won't be anything as in depth as what we used for the Wayfarer.
And for the most part, it was because it was very expensive.
Yes, it was the most expensive
and time consuming.
It was the most expensive and time consuming part of the Wayfarer. It turned out great. It's beautiful and we love it. It's like the best part of the Wayfarer is the animated sequence. And we're super proud of that. But
and I think that there's a good chance that's that is what I believe helped us to tell our story, because I don't know if our short film would have been as good without that amazing animated part. Not any fault of our own or the actors, but it was just the animated part was just so awesome, and that was partly in part due to Josh's awesome narration skills and the beautiful art, and we just everything kind of just worked for that.
Mhm.
Eddie asked, when will I be able to drink a brew from my Tavern Brawl tankard?
Yes, we are working on that. Those came from, I want to say, uh, oh
Another
gosh,
country.
it's another country. Gosh, what country did they come from? The guy was really nice. I want to say it was like Poland or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're kind of waiting everything out right now so that everything kind of dies down and is safer to start sending stuff.
Yeah, before, because I know there's a lot of huge delays with international shipping right now.
Yeah, we have been sending out our surveys though, so if you haven't done done your survey, make sure you fill that out. And we are going to start production on our T-shirts, and
it's going to be soon though. It's
cups.
not you're not going to be.
You will not be waiting very long for these.
Yeah,
we
really
really did our homework before even launching the Kickstarter, and we got prototypes of everything, and so everything is essentially ready to go. It just needs to be made and ordered. There's not even.
Yeah, if you look at our Kickstarter video, those mugs that we have, those are the ones.
Yeah, I've got one sitting over there in my counter.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so it's not going to. I know on our Kickstarter it says September of 2021, but it's going to be much sooner than that.
Let's see what race our character is going to be, John.
Hooray! Let's see. Looks like an elf.
An elf. Very nice.
Interesting.
Okay, cool. That's going to be fun.
I like elves.
So elves in our world are
a seafaring folk.
They are a seafaring folk now. They did not used to be. My idea when creating the races was to have them. I wanted them to start where you have your tropey races to start, but then I wanted
play with that.
But then I wanted the events of the world to force them to change. And so elves used to be your typical forest dwelling, tall, pointy-eared folk who were very graceful. And then during the Betrayal War, they were forced out of their home and took to the seas, and that's what became their new home. So a lot of them are kind of like islanders now and living as fishermen or stevedores or stuff like that. But a really interesting part was that the elves who were still angry at what happened at the Betrayal War began to pirate, and so now elven pirates are very
and what kind
prominent.
Of started out of like desperation has kind of like evolved to like a way of life now, where there's just these big groups of elves who are essentially pirate elves.
Absolutely.
And not all of them are, but that it definitely makes for a more interesting story. So our character is going to be an elf. I like that.
Very cool. So let's post the next bit. That'll be gender, and so we have male, female, or non-binary.
Yeah.
So Caleb will post those, and then you can choose what
you want.
What you want.
So my dad asked, "Are we excited about the location you're going to be shooting at?" We're not entirely sure. We have a few locations that we've been, that's a big thing we wanted to talk about right now. Is we have a few locations we've been looking at. We're looking mostly right now at a warehouse to build our tavern in, because we need kind of full control over the elements, because almost everything is happening in this tavern. And so we know we need a warehouse, and we need somewhere that is away from the road and kind of insulated and quiet where we can film, because that's something we struggled with last time. And so we're trying to find somewhere within our budget that we can, who's willing to work with us on price and willing to, because it's going to be expensive to rent a place for, the months we need, because we don't have a huge construction team. So we can't just, send 50 people in to go build it overnight. It's going to be, a lot of hard work from people.
It'll be, volunteer work, and I'll be there every
You'll
week.
be there. Yeah. And so we're trying to find a good location for that. And then we're also looking at, some, we have kind of 2 other main locations that a lot of action's going to take place, and then the rest is just kind of on the road stuff, on location stuff that we're not as worried about that. But in terms of these other locations, we have a place that we think is going to be good, a piece of property that is going to have a lot of beautiful, it's got a lot of locations that are kind of exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So we're hopeful about that.
It's a huge piece of property with lots of beautiful locations on it,
and the owners are really nice.
Yeah, the owners are awesome, and they are willing to work with us, and we can use that location for several different different spots. Jeez.
Yeah. So we have Caleb says, "Are we going to be seeing our wonderful Wayfarer in the show?" And your dad says, "Will there be any returning characters from the short film?" So
yes, absolutely. Greywall is I've told the story of Greywall. Greywall was a very important character in the very first game, long-running game that I ran, and that was a game of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 2nd Edition. And that game went on for, I think the main campaign went on for 2.5 years, and then we played not as the same characters, but as different characters in the world, and we got to really explore that, and that was a lot of fun. And Greywall was a main character in that, and one of the most important ones. And so, originally the storyteller in the Wayfarer was going to be, I did want the storyteller to come back, but he was going to be like a 1 episode per season kind of character.
Yeah, a little pop-up role.
Yeah, exactly. But after we had cast Josh, and just, knowing Josh and seeing how well he fit the role, it was like
we cannot bring this guy back.
He's got to be a main part of the story. And so we actually rewrote bits of the story to accommodate him into the story.
So Greywall will absolutely be back. In fact, he's one of our main. We've got a cast of 4 leads right now.
Yeah.
And Greywall's one of our leads. And there are a few other characters that will return. We might see, some familiar faces come back in the show.
Yep.
But we also will be introducing a lot of new characters, and but characters that we believe are going to fit just right. We've been working really hard on them, and we've kind of been working through Greywall's backstory and his history, and he's been one of the more fun characters because he is this character, like James said, that has been around since the start. And as we've gotten to work through everything, it's been really fun trying to figure out Greywall's arc and his path.
Yeah, his backstory, and
yes,
been a lot of fun.
And your dad sent me a picture that said Thude lives.
Thude lives, yes.
So
we may or may not see Thude once again.
We may or may not. Thude may or may not be dead. We'll find out. We'll find out.
Eric asks, fun hypothetical question. Who would be your dream actor to cast in the show? This is something I don't think about very often.
Yeah, dream actor. Yeah, that is hard.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we Oscar, who's the Tavern Keep. I sent a picture of John the other day of Ben Affleck smoking a cigarette and looking so horribly perturbed. And it's like, this is Oscar right here.
I could see Ben Affleck. He's a little old.
Too old, I think. Too old.
Yeah, that's a hard question. It's because I think we're at the phase right now of figuring out these characters, and the kind of exciting part is I don't really have a face yet from our characters, and so I think that when we get down to casting, James and I have agreed that the character is going to change a lot in casting, because you have to kind of let the actor roll with the character and take and add their own personal life experiences to the role. And so I think that that's going to be kind of a fun part of casting and a fun part of the show. So I honestly,
Absolutely.
that's a great question, Eric, but I honestly haven't even thought, uh, and that would be hard for me to think. I mean, obviously there's actors that it would be so cool to work with,
Hmm.
but it would kind of just be a selfish reason, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it just it's hard to like I can picture the characters sort of in my brain,
I can
but
kind of, but
yeah,
it's
it's
hard.
like kind of like a it's like a misty sort of
Yeah,
thing.
like a blurry image.
Yeah. Let's see.
Elizabeth said, "What does success for Tavern Brawl look like to you guys?"
Top awesome success, incredible like 100% win. We sell the show to a big network, and we get to continue working on it,
And we get to make,
and producing it and writing it.
yeah, that would be 100%. Obviously, selling it to someone like Netflix or HBO or it would be pretty far stretch for that to happen, at least for this first season. But we're kind of at least hoping with where we're at with streaming and everybody is kind of in this content acquisition mode right now, especially after COVID-19. It's an even better time to be making digital content because so many people are buying as much in creative content as they can.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we're hoping hoping that we can do as good of a job as we can on this pilot. And James and I are both kind of perfectionists that we want it to be as perfect as we can make it, so
Absolutely.
that we can, get the word out and try and get it sold. And then the dream would be that we get it sold, and then we can at least have a first season. Because I think, as we've been talking, if we can get a first season funded, it's going to blow people's minds because we've got some really cool stuff. We've already kind of figured out the first season. There's still a lot we got to fill in. We're mostly trying to focus on the pilot, but we've got like the first season and even like seasons on and on already kind of like penciled out. And I think if we could get people to watch the season finale of season 1, they're going to be hooked. And hopefully even the end of the pilot is going to have people hooked. That's our
definitely
hope.
I think so. Levi asks, are you going to be borrowing any other characters from that campaign, referring to my old campaign that Grey Wall came from? The answer is absolutely yes. There is nothing is off limits for me because I made it all up. So yes, you will be seeing already, even in the pilot, there will be some familiar names to my
awesome.
my weekly gaming group. So
yeah, might as well.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see. Let's
Any other questions?
Let's look at our straw poll.
We're tied right now, female and non-binary. No love for the males here today, I guess.
Hey, that's fine with me. All right, female or non-binary. We are tied. If you haven't voted,
could be a tiebreaker.
Get in there and vote. We'll take one more question and then we'll.
Eddie says, "Will there be any fictional languages made up for the show?"
No.
Yeah, probably not. I think it'd be awesome at some point to get to that. I think that's going to be way too much work for our first episode.
Yeah, I
just
don't
because
have
the... and where our story's at. Pretty much everybody in our story is in the same realm of existence, so it's gonna not. We're not like venturing too far from the tavern. We are a good bit like our world for the most part in our first episode, because we have so many characters already that I think it's just going to be way too much if we start adding in these, external factions. And so I think it'd be awesome at some point to do that, though. I definitely agree. I've always liked, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. That might be something.
Yeah, I don't think I have the intelligent capacity to
linguist skills.
Yeah, I mean, the best I could do is change the alphabet and make different essentially just mix the alphabet up and see what happens.
Yeah.
But one day that would be really cool to explore like an ancient language.
Yeah, that would be cool.
With a linguist. Rye Papaya asking, where do I vote? Caleb, if you could post the straw poll again. There he goes.
He did, yeah.
Caleb will be posting those so that people can vote.
Yeah.
So we'll give this one another minute or two.
But yeah, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to send them
Yeah.
our way. We're for people who are just joining us and missed the beginning, we are like literally neck deep in pre-production right now. It's all just story.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of everything. We're obviously having to get into the point where we're thinking about production.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that we have to because of everything that's happening. But we're trying to focus as much as we can on getting the story done, and it's going to be, we're getting to the phase where we're writing the first draft of the script because there's so much. If you've never written a script, there's so much that goes into before writing the first draft. It's not like you just get on a call, sit down, and say, scene one, act one. It's like, especially for something of this scale, it's figuring out the characters, figuring out every character's backstory, figuring out the world, figuring out the rules of the world, figuring out the magic, the rules of the magic, figuring out races and the gods, and there's a lot that goes into it. And then once you have everything, all your ducks in a row, then you can start. And basically what we're doing now is we have an outline where it's essentially like a bullet point list of just the actions that are happening, where it's Oscar does this, Ayla does this, this happens. And so we're going to have that laid out, which is essentially where we're at now. We're finishing up that outline, and then we start getting into typing out. And the hard part, honestly, is getting everything in a logical order that's interesting, and getting everybody set up, introduced, setting up, making sure everything's cohesive, and then writing dialogue and everything like that. So that's where we're at in production right now. But we are probably getting to the phase soon where we're going to start looking at casting.
Yeah, so that brings us to He Who Is Matt says, how many family members are you casting? Well, I already used my dad, so
I got to cycle through them.
Yeah, and my wife actually too. She was in the.
Yeah, she was.
So I have given an open invitation to family members. They can, of course, be extras, as much as they want. However, we also were using them as crew members, and that'll probably be that'll probably continue, just because my family is so loving, and they put up with
they're the best
with my crap, and make them get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to help me build taverns and stuff.
Well, looks like we got a tiebreaker, and our character is going to be female.
All right, female elf.
All right.
Excellent. Okay, so that
you want to introduce our next.
So how we're gonna do this next bit, or the rest of this character creation, is we're gonna go through, and we're gonna ask for suggestions. John and I are gonna pick some suggestions, and then you all will get to vote on those. So our next thing is this character's occupation. What does this character do to make money?
So you could throw out some suggestions just to give people an idea.
Ideas would be blacksmiths, butchers, cobblers, farmhands,
hunter,
anything like that.
You can get creative.
Absolutely. It could be the most fantasy thing.
But try and keep it to a relatively medieval fantasy realm, obviously.
Something that somebody in a medieval village would be able to.
Grocery store bagger, Gambler, sure, gambler works.
Okay, gambler's fun.
I'm gonna go pee really quick, but feel free to take another question.
Okay. Austin asks, will Pearly make an appearance? Pearly was Austin's character in a D&D game that was from Fantasy Alabama, I want to say. And so he was a total hick. And he found a skull in a dungeon and thought it was his own, if I'm remembering that correctly. So probably not, but maybe. We'll see. Yeah, I was right. All right, so we're taking suggestions for an occupation for our character. So we've got gambler, we got traveling puppeteer. That's fun. What else y'all got? Comedian, bounty hunter, or both? All right. The town crier. Okay. Those are fun. Okay.
I'm back.
All right. So, John, we've got some of the things are gambler, traveling puppeteer, comedian, bounty hunter,
Okay.
bard, sailor, town crier,
Princess, dentist,
peddler. Okay. Like a merchant.
elf princess. I like that. Ale maker.
Ale maker. Okay.
Okay.
Blacksmith.
Caleb, hope you're typing these fast.
Oh, he's not well, so you and I will pick 4. You'll pick 2 and I'll pick 2, and those will be the
Okay.
ones that Caleb.
Let's do. Yeah, 2 and 2 works. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get a few more, and then we'll town crier.
Yeah, town crier's good. FYI, John, this Streamlabs that I'm using lets me look at both the chats at once.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
So I can see both of them, which is really nice. I don't have to
That
go
is
back and
nice.
forth.
Yeah, I've just got them both up. Seeing myself 1,000 times, but
Oh yeah. all at different points.
yeah.
Juggler, okay. The village prankster. Okay, so
These are some interesting ones.
yeah, these are fun. I think
You
I'll
want to
go-
pick?
yeah, I'll pick mine too.
Okay.
I like. Yeah, those are fun. Let's do
Locksmith. That's good.
I like blacksmith. Let's get blacksmith in there, Caleb, and let's do. I like the puppeteer. The puppeteer is really interesting.
Okay. All right.
Oh, there you
Blacks.
go. Innkeep. The other innkeeper in town. So,
That's
hey,
good.
that's kind of fun. So, John, you can pick your 2.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say. Oh, these are tough.
Uh-huh.
I do like Innkeep. Maybe I'm gonna say Innkeep. Yeah,
Okay.
I like that. I like that. And then
All
just for a fun one, I'm gonna say Princess.
Princess. Okay.
Just so
That's
we can
fun.
have some
Okay,
crazy.
Caleb. So Caleb's gonna make that poll real quick. So that's innkeep, princess, blacksmith, and puppeteer.
Although those are all good. I do like Ale Maker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
Gotta have
agree.
them.
Cool. Okay, so Caleb's gonna make that. And there he goes, wicked fast.
Everybody, let's say a quick thank you to Caleb here, who's
Yep,
taking time out of his busy day and keeping us with these polls.
Nednerb says Lord Ruler, which is a which is a character from Mistborn. A very good fantasy book. If you haven't read, I strongly suggest Caleb. I'm so busy. Well, we appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for helping me out.
Taking time out of your busy day. All right, so the poll is up.
Poll is up. Go ahead and go vote on that.
Vote on that, and we can.
John, let's talk about our characters.
Okay.
We could talk about our 2 characters that not a lot of people know about.
Okay, you wanna take one, and I'll take the other.
Sure.
You can
talk
start.
about-
Pick.
Yeah, I'll pick. I guess I'll do Oscar.
Okay.
So our 2 leads are the owners of this tavern, the Wayfarer's Keep, and that's Oscar and Ayla. Oscar is the older brother, and he's the dependable type. He's like a foundation. He's rock solid. You can always depend on him. He's always busy. And he feels like he's pulling his hair out every second of the day. And yeah, so he kind of feels it's his duty to run the tavern. So they came into their tavern after their parents died, and so they inherited the tavern. And Oscar was older. Ayla was a couple years younger, and so suddenly he was forced into this role of kind of being a parent to Ayla as well as managing this tavern, when he was like 16 years old.
Yeah.
And so, with all that the weight of responsibility kind of forced him to do what he had to do to uphold his responsibilities and not be able to chase his dreams, which is the opposite of Ayla.
Yeah, so Ayla is Oscar's younger sister. She's, a good bit younger than him, and she is kind of a firecracker. So unlike Oscar, she does not let the burden of her responsibilities weigh her down. She is basically she helps out in the tavern. She's good at it, and she helps, do the responsible thing. But at the same time, she hates it, and she wants more out of life, and she sees herself doing more. There hasn't really been an opportunity for it yet, but she just knows that she's destined for greater things. And she often finds herself, kind of in her own little fantasy world of stuff. And she cares a lot about Oscar, and they're close. But at the same time, I think she's bored of everything, and she just, is looking for more out of life. I think she definitely struggles. She's very immature, and she struggles with being selfish and not thinking about others before herself, because she's just kind of in that phase where her actions do not have consequences, and she can kind of act without responsibility.
Yeah.
So we kind of have an interesting dichotomy between these two, because they're both kind of forced into this life that they didn't necessarily choose, but they're both choosing to handle it in different ways. So
yeah,
that's kind of
during some of our writing earlier this week, we wrote that they're how they go about business in the tavern, and Oscar is a bustler. He's
yes.
bustling, and when he's working in the tavern, and Ayla is a mosier. She moseys in the tavern.
yeah, they're pretty polar opposites, but they do love each other a lot. They care a lot about each other.
Close. They are very
because
close.
They don't have their parents, and so it's just the two of them kind of in the world, and they're close. But I think that there's obviously some of that brother sister animosity, and I think that Ayla hasn't really had. Oscar's kind of taken a lot of the burden onto his back, and so Ayla is kind of living her life like she doesn't have any responsibility, because Oscar does so much of the workload, not because he is choosing to, but because she's basically dumped it on him. And so it's an interesting setup for our characters, who are seemingly living this boring life, and don't necessarily have any of the qualities that you'd look for in a hero of a story. So
yeah, absolutely.
If you're writing your typical fantasy story, these would be the people who you give like a 1-sentence description and then keep on going.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what interests us a lot.
Yeah, really exploring these characters that typically it's like and the innkeep was a portly man with a goatee, and he seemed very tired.
Yeah, they're essentially the background characters of your normal fantasy stuff. Yeah. And we're going to play on that a lot. We have some fun scenes where, they are... We play around with that trope a lot, that the background characters of, your typical fantasy show.
Yeah, and that brings me to, a really interesting thing for these characters is that typically there's like you have your call to action, you have your unlikely hero who if we go to Lord of the Rings, for example, Gandalf is like, listen, Frodo, you need to take this ring. I can't touch it, but I need you to take this ring to Rivendell. And Frodo's like, okay, I'll do it, and he's like ready. But in real life, that's not something that happens. People feel stuck where they are a a lot of the time. And when something new happens, it's not just like all right, I'm off.
Let's go. It's like
it's like, no, I
there's-
have things to consider. I have life here. I have family here. I have
Mhm.
and so that's something we're exploring as well.
Yeah, and that people don't always make the right decision.
Yeah.
You know, and that definitely leads to consequences. So, or you want to take a look at our occupation?
Yes, let's look at our occupation.
Looks like innkeep is the winner.
Innkeep is the winner.
All right. And
Incredible.
next, she was almost a traveling puppeteer. Didn't quite make it. But innkeep is good. I like that one a lot. That'll be fun.
That's going to be really fun to play around with, I think.
Yeah, because we, in fact, had another character. So it actually kind of works. Because there was another innkeep character that
we hadn't...
yeah. So
that we hadn't fleshed out at all. We just... There is another tavern in town. And that's essentially as far as we had built that.
Yeah.
Cool, awesome. Okay, so next is let's take a look here. Okay, next we have some positive character traits. So we need to choose a positive character trait for this person. Best way we found to do this is going to just looking up positive character trait
I can link it in the chat if you want.
generator. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so there's a cool site that lets you generate
Positive and negative.
yeah, here we go.
It won't let you. Kayla, I probably have my settings all.
It won't let me link.
Yeah, I think my Twitch settings won't let people link.
Okay, well,
Here,
maybe-
I can.
I linked it on Facebook. But so essentially, what we're gonna do is, you can either use that site, get an idea of kind of some positive character traits, and throw some out, ones that you think would be fun for this character. There's pretty standard ones and there's boring ones, like, the one I'm reading, obviously it's honest, courageous, trustworthy, adventurous, creative, strong, athletic. There's a bunch of fun ones. So we're gonna do the same type of thing. Yeah, just pick some fun traits that you'd like to see this character be. We'll pick all of our favorites. We'll give a good, because then we'll probably just end up with one. So yeah, throw some out.
Yeah, throw some out there. Jeff Shaw says, it sounds like medieval Cheers, so which character plays Norm? The only thing I know about Cheers is that Frasier is in it, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a... I don't know if we're going to have like a Norm type character. It's definitely going to feel a little bit like a medieval Cheers, but
yeah, certainly.
it's like James says, we're doing like a 60-40 comedy drama. So there is going to be a good bit of drama. Like, obviously we want to have, there's a lot of humor that can be had in fantasy.
Oh, absolutely.
But our story is not going to feel like a sitcom, which I think our story definitely could work as a sitcom.
Oh, absolutely. You could take this and ham it up and
work
really well as a sitcom.
And it's something we talked about, but
yeah. But John and I are really interested in dramatic storytelling.
Yeah, dramatic storytelling is fun, and I think that we both really like stuff that is able to perfectly balance comedy and drama.
Absolutely.
And those are probably the most interesting stories, because you get this wide range of emotion, and it's, to me, the most interesting. So there's going to be some pretty funny moments, there's going to be some dark moments, there's going to be some intense moments, some sad moments, some happy moments. It's going to be all over the place. So which I don't know, I know Cheers definitely has some sad moments, but it's for the most part a pretty lighthearted.
Yeah, it's a sitcom. And when I tell people, I say it's like a 60-40 split, 60% drama, 40% comedy. I always like to tell people that, we really want to, not necessarily, of course, we don't want to copy anything, but we want to achieve the same balance of comedy dramedy that the show Firefly does.
Which you haven't, if you haven't seen that show, that's an awesome show to watch.
Yeah, absolutely
Only got
incredible.
one season, but really good world building and storytelling, and it's a show that set up this awesome world from essentially nothing and built it out, all these characters, and then didn't get picked up again, which is, you know, ultimately really sad. But it's a really good example of a original show, which there's not a lot of original shows in this genre anymore. Everything is either fantasy book based or, you know, it's based on novels or something.
Yeah, it's you know, we live in a world where IP is king, and so the best way to get your IP out there,
stuff that people already know.
Yeah, the best way to get your IP out there is not by creating a very expensive TV show, probably the most expensive thing you could try and make with your IP. It's writing books, or it's graphic novels, or it's something John and I have been talking about and we've been interested in is fiction podcasts or audio
basically
dramas.
Stuff that's cheaper.
Stuff that's cheaper that shows people are interested in your IP, and that is not super expensive to try and make.
Yeah, and there's a reason that people don't do what we are doing, sadly.
Yeah.
It's because it's expensive, and like fantasy is one of the hardest genres to pull off.
It's expensive. It's
independently, and you know that's something that we're struggling with because we, you know, there's so much we want to do, and there's so much we want to do right. And like I said earlier, there's other projects that try and do this, and they try and do too much, and they think that they can pull off, you know, cheap visual effects and things that don't quite work, and it really turns people off of it because it just looks kind of hokey. And instead of focusing on the awesome story that you built, people are now focused on, oh, that effect wasn't good, or that it's like, oh, that wasn't quite right. And so we want to pretty much entirely avoid that as much as possible. So we're going to only do what we think we can do. And I think, you know, we proved what we could do in our short film, and I think that it's going to be, you know, at least 10 times better than our short film.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We seriously learned a lot making that.
Even as we were filming, we were like, oh, we messed up on that. And so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sitting in the editing, it was always like, wow.
Yeah, wish we would have done that.
How did we completely not see 10 takes of this? Didn't have the extras in it.
Yeah.
Cry every time.
You want to read some of these positive character traits?
So we have daring, good judge of character, always wants to make a connection. We're friends. Practical, warm, logical, educated, swarmy, realistic. Levi also asks, Tavern Brawl fighting game when? We would love to do a Tavern Brawl fighting game.
Yeah.
That would be really fun. Just like Smash Bros. But...
Choose your fighter.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
You want to pick? Do you want to do 2 and 2 again?
Yeah, we'll do 2 and 2. You can go first this time.
All right. Ooh, principled. We got that too. Okay. So this is our innkeeper. I'm considering that our innkeeper, our elf female innkeeper. Let me think. I'm gonna pick either. I'm gonna do warm. I really like warm. And I'm gonna do practical.
Okay.
Warm and practical.
All right. Caleb's gonna get that going. Warm and practical. I'm gonna pick daring. And logical.
Daring and logical.
Yeah.
Although I do really like good judge of character, but I'm gonna do warm and practical.
Stick with your guns.
Yeah. All right. We can set that poll up,
Cool.
Caleb,
So
whenever you get the chance.
Caleb's oh, we got a last
intuitive.
That's good too.
What does swarmy mean?
Swarmy? I don't know.
Sounds like a bad thing. Is it a bad thing?
Inclined to swarm, swarming with people or activities.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Like kind of like a hypersocial person.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Cool.
All right, poll is up, guys. We
Polls
can vote.
up. Go ahead and start voting.
Warm, practical, or spelled that wrong, but it's okay. Daring and logical. We all
Cool.
know what it means.
Okay, so does anyone have any more questions for us?
Please ask ahead.
Please
We
ask.
we mentioned we talked about Greywall earlier. We do have a fourth character. We're not going to talk too much about her at this point, but we there is going to be another character that is going to be a lead and is one that we're kind of working on pretty hard right now, and we'll probably talk about her more later. But it is somebody who is going to be a lot different than our other characters, and it's somebody who James and I have had a lot of fun writing. So
yeah, and it's definitely been the hardest character.
A huge challenge having a character like this, because it's a character who isn't necessarily a straightforward character, and so we wanted to challenge ourselves with her, and we aren't quite as solid on her as we are on the others, so we're gonna wait and talk about her at a later date. So
yeah, but she is that's gonna be a fun character. And,
very fun character.
Definitely will challenge our writing skills.
Yeah. But yeah, Greywall will obviously be back.
Yes, Greywall absolutely will be back.
His character has, for the most part, stayed the same, but there's a lot of backstory that we've written for Greywall.
Yeah, it's much more fleshed out. When before I just kind of had.
Yeah, you have like this is who he is.
Yeah, I just sort of had ideas, but now we've fully integrated him into this world, and he is a living, breathing character that
has
a past
passions and flaws, and and things like that. So he's gonna feel real, which is what I like.
That's what I like.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to ask us. We've covered a lot so far, but if it's something that you want us to repeat, or
and it doesn't it doesn't necessarily need to be about Tavern Brawl.
Tavern Brawl, yeah.
Ask us whatever you like.
Yeah, how's your day going?
Thanks.
Yeah, we.
Just got one.
Is there magic
in this world? Absolutely, there's magic in this world, and that has been. Something John and I have been really working on a lot, because our magic it's kind of been all over the place. Yeah,
we've had a lot of iterations of our magic, because magic is super hard to write, because it's so annoying when people introduce magic and don't set up the rules or any kind of like structure for it. It's like, oh, this exists, and if you can do this, then you can do it. And that's so frustrating, because it's like, I want to know how and where and why, and what are the boundaries and what are the rules of this magic.
So John and we actually made a list of how our magic works and what the rules of the magic are. And like John was saying, one of my least favorite things that people do is when they give you rules. It's like, okay, here are the rules, and then they break them immediately.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, come on.
Ah, gosh, I hate that.
And there's, to me, nothing more annoying than, and so many superhero movies do this, it's when there's magic in the world, but there's no quantifiable way, there's no way to quantify it, and so it's just like, you have this person who's not as magically powerful, and this person who's much more magically powerful, and they're fighting. And it's like, this person, obviously, it's usually the villain, in a real world would just destroy them instantly, but for some reason doesn't. And it's like, oh, it makes sense for the story, but in the world that you're in, it doesn't make sense. And so you have to like look at these situations where if you're introducing magic, this fantastical element, you have to like press on it and be like, would this make sense in this, like in a head-to-head world, would this beat this, And that's real questions you have to ask yourself. So.
Yeah, so our magic is is, well, it's sort of 3 different categories of all the same magic. We have our Wayfarers, who have this sort of innate magical ability. And the folklore behind that is that they are descended from the god of storms, and so that is why this is why they have this innate magical ability, and they can use that ability to heal people, like stitch wounds together, stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty minor injuries, but they do possess the power to heal, and that's kind of where the Wayfarers like originated in their group, is that they traveled the road and basically would only use magic defensively to heal people, essentially like you know, the Red Cross in a war where nobody's going to attack them. They're only here to help, and for the most part we're seen as this awesome thing, and that's kind of where their magic started.
Yeah. And then you have our magical gemstone, Arctium, which, if used by a Wayfarer, sort of unlocks a new subset of magical abilities that we are calling Storm Calling.
Yeah, and if you, we haven't talked much about Arctium, but it is kind of the subject of the Betrayal War. With, if you saw the animated thing, we have this queen who is after the Arctium. It's this extremely valuable source of energy that, if in the hands of a Wayfarer, they can use it to basically make themselves more powerful and use it almost like as a battery for more magical abilities. And so it became kind of a general, you know, trend amongst Wayfarers that they would all, because it was expensive and rare, they would all have a piece of jewelry or some kind of trinket that would have Arctium on it, and that would basically boost their powers to be able to do more extraordinary feats of like James said, storm calling. They could, you know, move the winds, call down some sort of lightning, do, you know, more extravagant things rather than simply healing wounds and, you know, doing minor, almost like without the Arctium, they're doing, they can have little feats of strength, but it's very draining, and it's almost like the Arctium allows them to channel it and, you know, increase it in ability.
Yeah, and then of course you have our siphons, which were in the Wayfarer were explained as regular people who had Arctium embedded into their spine, and that somehow they were able to, from that, drain magic directly from the Arctium through their body, and it come out as pure energy.
Yeah.
And that would cause the Arctium to start crystallizing on their back, and they would go mad. So yeah, magic is something we are working on, and we want the rules to be very specific, and we don't want to break the rules unless there is a. You can break the rules as long as it makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's not a, if it's a rule that like is universally accepted, then sure. But if it's a rule of like, this is the way that things are, then you can't break it. And so we are still, obviously it's changing a lot. And the magic aspect of our show is one that is tricky because we're not heavily relying on it, but it is a big factor in the Wayfarers in our show. And so we're gonna have a lot more in depth of it in the first episode, and we'll have a better explanation that's more concise. But
yeah. Elizabeth asks, who is your favorite sibling? John, I assume that's.
I only have one sibling, so that would be Elizabeth. So for you, that is an awkward question.
For me, I'm gonna say none of them. They none of them get any of my stuff when I die.
And we had another question that says, is there something you guys don't want to come together and agree you don't want to do with this project? So
don't want to do with the project. Yeah, there's stuff that we're not interested in doing.
Stuff that we've been like, that is never going to happen.
That is not
Tavern
happening.
Brawl.
I mean, there's nothing like big. I mean, so one of our big no-nos was in big VFX.
Yeah.
That is just something we're not going to do. I mean, working on this project and just like being a fantasy nut myself, I watch short films, independent fantasy short films all the time, and it always seems
That's where they go wrong.
It always seems that they have this idea for this VFX, and that's what they focus on, and the story doesn't come together, and they spent all their money on this VFX, which does not work.
Doesn't look good. Yeah, and it's just a waste. It ends up being a waste of money.
Yeah,
Whereas,
so,
like, we will have some VFX. There's some things that we cannot get away with without VFX, but we're going to try and do it as tastefully and as little as possible, because not only is it expensive, but it's just kind of, it takes away from it when it's over the top. So we both kind of agreed we're not going to lean heavy in the VFX, because it's so much more interesting just to have a cool story and an interesting story than like rely on big flashy stuff that is
yeah.
And there's a few other little things that we've talked about. We don't want to have the typical fantasy tropey characters. We have the only ones that we have are ones that we're playing with why they're in our story. And so you'll see some characters that on the surface might seem like, oh, this is, you watch your fantasy show and you're going to have this character every time, but then I think you're going to be surprised where we take that character. So
absolutely. Let's look at our winner.
And Caleb also asked our favorite flavor of ice cream, which for you is
not Ben and Jerry's Netflix and chill. I was just telling John a story about that this morning. Me and my wife and her sister, we're all doing Weight Watchers right now, which is it's going okay. It's something you gotta get used to, but you get weekly points, and so I saved up all my weekly points so I could have some ice cream. And I ate the ice cream, and it was pretty good, but then it really messed my stomach up, and so I was dying last night, and was tasting peanut butter ice cream.
When at times you did not want to be tasting it.
Yeah, but I really like ice cream with like cookie dough. Like cookie dough ice cream is delicious, or peppermint ice cream.
Yeah, I would say that's a hard pick. Number one has to be Cherry Garcia, Ben and Jerry's.
Okay, yeah.
I just can't go wrong with that. Number two, I'd probably have to do some kind of mint chocolate chip.
Oh yeah, mint is tough.
Yeah. There's some people that's like a big, you either love it or hate mint chocolate chip, because some people it tastes like toothpaste, but not me.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so our positive character trait is practical.
Yes, practical it is. So we've got a practical elf woman who is an innkeeper.
An innkeeper.
That's interesting. Okay, so
it's really fun.
She's going to be practical. She's not going to be warm. She might be warm. Obviously people have more than one character trait, so
of course, but these will be the ones.
This will be the defining. So she's practical.
All right, so let's get into our negative character traits as well.
Ooh, negative character trait.
What kind of negative character traits does this character have?
If you go to that link, that same link,
post it in Twitch.
Yeah, you can actually click the button that says "Get Negative Character Traits," and so then you start getting. Here's some: intolerant, gluttonous, rebellious, sadist, cheap, alcoholic, amoral. There's some fun ones. So throw us out some negative character traits, and don't, keep in mind the realm we're working in. This is going to be a real living, breathing character, so we'd like it to make sense. So try and think of where, if this practical female elf innkeeper, what kind of stuff do you see her, not too good side being, and throw those out. We can take some more questions.
Mackenzie asks, are there any other magical creatures / people like the Wayfarers? Like, do elves have powers too? So the Wayfarers are not just humans. Wayfarers can be from any of the races.
Yeah, it's
although humans made up the bulk of them when during the Betrayal War. We also do have monsters in our world.
yeah. There will
However,
be some fantasy creatures,
yeah,
some fun ones, but
Yeah.
they probably won't be in our
They're-
first episode.
oh, definitely not. But they're kind of like almost like people would view monsters in our world, how people view cryptids in
Yeah,
our day, right? So
Very
you know,
rare.
you've got your Bigfoot, you've got your chupacabra, your jackalope, stuff like that. That's kind of how people view monsters, at least in the kind of area, the main area we're living in. On the far side of the mountains, however,
yeah.
it is a different story. And you can, if you're interested in reading all the things we wrote about the races and stuff, I could put up a post on Kickstarter for everyone to view. Actually, I think they're up on Kickstarter.
Yeah, they are on a Kickstarter, and we've got a lot about
Yeah.
about the races and stuff. And
And,
Caleb asked if there's going to be fantastical creatures like dragons and fairies. That's something we've talked about.
Yeah, there will be mention of dragons and
It's not going to be as relevant to our story, at least where we're at,
yeah.
because of how small it is, and they're definitely going to exist. And obviously, we can't have it in episode 1 because we're going to be on a very tight budget.
Yeah, super. Yeah.
So as much as I would love to be paying to get a fairy animated in our first episode.
If you imagine kind of how people thought of dragons and White Walkers at the beginning of Game of Thrones.
Exactly. Yeah, kind of almost like a fairy tale.
Yeah, it's like
Not something you see every day.
Yeah,
and
they're not around anymore. But then they see
and honestly,
a dire wolf, and they're like, "Oh man, these are super rare."
And where our story is at, magic is not something pretty much seen at all.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to talk too much about our antagonist or where we're going with that right now, because we're still in development on that. But essentially, magic is not a big part of the world today. The Wayfarers are essentially non-existent. There are still some Wayfarers, but for the most part, they've been driven to the corners of society. And if you saw someone doing magic, it would be pretty shocking.
Yeah, absolutely.
People go their whole lives, because at the point that our story's at, the Betrayal War took place about 200 or so years ago. So it's kind of like it'd be like hearing about the Revolutionary War or the Civil War,
Yeah.
something that happened so long ago that you read about in the books, but doesn't really affect your life that much. And you heard about magic, but it's not really something that is seen that often anymore. So
Definitely. We've got some.
Wes is here. Wes says hi. Hey, Wes. First few seasons of Game of Thrones.
That's exactly kind of it. It's like, it's not, people don't, it's like a story that, great grandma used to tell, and so it's not really taken seriously anymore. There's also a group in our story, an order, who are strictly against magic because of the because of the Betrayal War. So that had a lot of influence on the last 200 years, and
Wayfarers are not exactly looked at as they were back, hundreds of years past. Is what I'll say. All right, we got a lot of negative traits. Really came through on these negative traits.
Absolutely.
Negative traits are more fun than positive traits.
100%. Definitely.
I'll read out some of them, I guess.
Go for it.
We got brutally honest. We got jealous. We have cheap, blunt, nosy, sarcastic, greedy. We've vain, short-tempered, nosy, picky eater, ungrateful, attention deficit. That's some good ones. I think I might have to pick 3 on these because there's so many of them.
We could do 3 each.
Yeah, might as well. And we have more people in the chat now, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I will go first, and I will pick 3. So I will say I like greedy.
Mm-hmm.
I like blunt. And I like... let's go with... I like that. Smug.
Smug, yeah.
So
All right.
Caleb, that was greedy, smug, and blunt.
Blunt, yeah. All right, I have to do vain. I like vain.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fun one. Vain, I'm gonna say cheap. Because I see that being a fun negative character
really fun.
trait,
That would be
especially for an innkeeper.
Absolutely.
And I think I'm gonna have to also say, I guess cheap does kind of go in with greedy, so I probably won't say greedy, but I guess I'm gonna say, this is hard. Because there's so many. I'm gonna say jealous.
Those are good.
So I said vain, cheap, and jealous. Got that,
All right.
Caleb?
So Caleb
Vain,
is
cheap, and jealous.
Caleb is putting that up for the straw poll.
Thank you.
Yes,
Caleb?
yes, thanks to Caleb. He's probably furiously typing. There he goes.
Let's see.
So go ahead and vote for your favorite one.
Yeah. And anyone, if we have some new people in here, if anyone has any more questions for us, feel free to ask. We've covered some topics. Eddie said, what is your favorite fantasy movie, either animated or live action? That's hard.
Oh, man.
What?
Okay, well, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, extended cut is...
It's hard to not say that. I mean, honestly.
That is top tier. That is some top tier stuff right there, man. I watched the beginning of that movie. The beginning of that movie makes me feel so happy. And I love it so much. Just when they're in the Shire, man. It's just like, whoo! It gets me every time. It's so lovely. I love it. I mean, all of the Lord of the Rings movies are incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Witcher. The Witcher has always been something I loved, and I think when the show came out, they really did the books justice. So far, at least. And plus, I really love the way Henry Cavill betrays Geralt of Rivia. Just like, I mean, it's almost the same thing with, like, when you think of Aragorn, you think of Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah.
That is exactly what you picture, and that's
there can be nobody else.
And that's how Henry Cavill, I think, in my mind, has taken.
Yeah, there can't be anybody else.
Yeah, he is Geralt of Rivia, no doubt in my mind.
I have to agree. Lord of the Rings. I'm a Return of the King guy.
Trust me, I love them all.
But it's hard. It's hard.
The beginning of Fellowship of the Ring just makes me feel so good. But I cry every time at the end of Return of the King. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So needless to say, Lord of the Rings is huge. But I'm also, people don't really think, but Harry Potter to me was big. That wouldn't be considered your typical fantasy, but it is fantasy. Mm-hmm. And I read all the, that was when I was a kid, reading all the books and watching all the movies. So I kind of grew up with Harry Potter. And so even though that was geared more towards children, but they're really good movies and they're good books as well. So, that's a hard one. So yeah.
Casey said Warhammer. I mean, if we're not talking about movies, yeah, Warhammer is very special to me. I love Warhammer Fantasy. Not 40K. I'm actually not a big fan of 40K. Don't really care for that.
Which Hogwarts house am I in? I am.
I think I'm a Hufflepuff.
Of course.
I'm a theater guy. I'm a was a choir kid.
Yeah.
You know.
I think I did it first time and I got Ravenclaw, and then I did it a second time and I got Slytherin.
Okay, yeah. When I did the Pottermore the first time I got Slytherin. But the most recent time when my wife and I went to Universal Studios, we did it waiting in line to go look at the wands, and
Yeah.
I was Hufflepuff.
Yeah, nothing wrong. Elizabeth's a Hufflepuff. I know that.
Yeah, man, Hufflepuffs, they're theater kids, like to the bone.
Yeah. Yeah. If anyone else has any other questions, we are. We've talked about kind of where we're at with production. Well, I guess we should also talk about where, we are looking still for a set location for our warehouse. We have a few good leads. If anybody out there knows anybody with a warehouse or any kind of property, anything of that sort that is willing to work with us, that would be huge.
Yeah,
Obviously in the
absolutely.
Oregon area, obviously we'll be able to pay for it,
Mhm.
but we're on a tight budget, so essentially the less money we have to spend on the warehouses, the more we get to put into costumes and props and set and food for people and stuff like that. So essentially, we do need our warehouse is going to be the most important because we're going to be spending the most time there. We want our set to look awesome.
Yep.
Our original set looked awesome, but we want this one to look even more realistic and more,
absolutely. It's going to be bigger and
gonna really feel like you're there. And so that's where we're at in terms of set location. We're probably going to be soon, once we have a first draft of our script, be doing like a casting call. James can talk about what.
Yeah, so for casting, we're gonna essentially have 2 casting calls, and our first casting call is gonna be for locals here in the Willamette Valley. Just because I think it's really important that I want to stay. The story is small, and so we want to kind of keep that and see about keeping some things local. And so we'll be reaching out to local actors for a local audition, and then after that, we will do our kind of, I don't want to say a national call, but but that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, because we're going to start, we want to give obviously the local actors a chance because, it's going to be easier to work with people who are local, and, everybody needs somewhere to start. But we are going to, we're going to just have to pick whoever the best person is for the role. So we're going to probably go through a big casting process because the characters are going to be so important. So that's kind of where we're at with that. We have Caleb asking favorite fantasy novel.
Oh man, that's so hard. I read so much.
I know yours. You've told me what yours is.
The Name of the Wind is an incredible book. Just absolutely incredible. It's Patrick Rothfuss is just like, not only is the story good, but his writing is really poetic, kind of looking through the rose-tinted glass, and I really like that. Other books I really like, I love Brandon Sanderson, and anything he does with his Cosmere setting are incredible, really fun. I really like the Alloy of Law, which is the Mistborn era too. Those it's kind of takes magic and sort of makes it like a Western, which is really cool. What about you, John?
That's
Harry
hard. No, actually, I would say it's kind of a weird one, but it was one I read when I was younger, but I still go back and read it. It's Airman, and it's by Owen Colfer.
Oh, okay.
Guy who did the Artemis Fowl series. They're meant for young adults, but I really, really like that one. And it was kind of, it's like almost like a historical fantasy, where it's like this young boy who's living in a castle and off the coast of Ireland, and he ends up like witnessing a murder, gets thrown in prison, and basically like builds this flying contraption and like escapes from prison. And
That's awesome.
It's a really, really good book, and I think that we're going to make it a movie at some point. But
that is awesome. Casey says, I think I might know some warehouses that I believe are for lease. They're not huge, but large enough for double semi-garage doors. Casey, send me a message, and
absolutely,
we will look at those.
Yeah, we've been looking warehouses because we're even to the point where we're considering anything for an indoor. We definitely need a roof over our head. We need an enclosed because sound.
Yeah. And
obviously we would like, a large amount of space because the bigger the better. But we're pretty much open to anything at this point, and we're the cheaper we can do it, the better, and we're willing to work with people because we want to be able to do as much as we can. Kickstarter's over. Is there an active Patreon or something? No, not right now.
No.
I don't know that we're going to go that route just because of it. I feel like everyone's already been really generous enough, and we don't want to keep asking people for money.
Yeah, we've had such good luck with people being so generous, not even just monetarily, but like with their time
and helping us.
And so, we just we don't want to overreach, and I think it's also part of like a kind of an image thing,
Yeah, I do think that we don't necessarily know where Tavern Brawl is going to end up, but if there is a world where we end up, making the show by ourselves and have it be funded by people, if we can get it to that, I don't see a problem doing it like that. But at the point where we're going to at least wait until we have something to show people.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to ask for more money until we have something that we can say, okay, this is what we did with your money that you gave us before, and here's the next plan.
Yeah. So, I think that's pretty much how we're gonna leave it for now. But we will have merch. Don't worry. We are gonna have our Kickstarter shirts, and then we'll probably have some other stuff that'll eventually be on our website. We'll be able to sell, because we have a bunch of cool graphic design stuff from our project that
absolutely.
And anybody who works on it and helps us will get a cool crew shirt.
Yes, that is true.
So that is an incentive. Come help us, please, and you will get a bunch of free stuff, and we'll feed you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably can't pay you at this point, but we can feed you, and
we'll
we
make
can
sure you're happy and not hungry.
And you can be on IMDb, which is cool too.
Okay, so our negative character traits are in and cheap.
Cheap, okay.
All right, that's gonna be fun.
Cheap it is. So you want to go over our character again? So we've got.
Okay, so our character, she is an elf, innkeeper. She's very practical and very cheap.
That's an interesting combo.
Yeah.
Practical and cheap.
Yeah. She's very practical about money.
Yeah. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. And we also, so for our last, I believe it's our last poll.
We have two more. So now we're going, but it's a two-parter essentially.
Yes.
So for our next bit for our character, it's time for her name.
It is time for her name.
We need a name for this elf, a first name. We will be doing last name as well, but we're going to start with a first name. So if you have any first names that sound elfy and sound I don't know. You could go piratey. You could go. I mean,
there's a lot of world. Try to keep it in the world again.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we're not gonna name them Kyle, or
Okay.
Brittany, or
definitely.
And yes, she is gonna be basically a female Mr. Krabs, which not a problem with that. So
you can start.
Yeah, start throwing out some.
We'll get into these questions.
Are we doing just a first name, or are we doing first and last?
First name first, last name last.
All right, so we're gonna do first name, female elf innkeeper first name.
Mm-hmm.
We're open to anything. Throw it out.
Yep.
Caleb's throwing one out right now.
For real.
we have a question. Any thoughts on publishing your world as an RPG supplement to the existing game system?
That would be a lot of fun, and it is something actually me and my dad have talked about. It would be really fun to make a 5th edition supplement, because that's what I'm currently playing, and that's what's most popular. I have been doing. I mean, a lot of this comes from our Warhammer game, like not necessarily story, but like characters and stuff
inspiration.
like that. So it'd be fun to even create a new system for it. That
would be cool.
To explore our world a little more in depth. I think that's too much for us to handle right this
right
second.
now. I wish. There's so many cool projects that we want to undertake, but honestly, just producing a pilot is like a lot of work.
It's draining. John and I have we just were talking about it'd be really fun to do some audio dramas that take place in our Tavern Brawl world.
Oh yeah. So
that has been a thought, and we would absolutely love to do it. And we will look into doing it just later when we don't have our hands full. Maybe if we ever get to hire any employees.
That would be nice.
Jacoma says, "Food and clothes, I am in."
We also have, what characteristics are you using for the different ethnic cultures in Tavern Brawl? Elf culture, dwarf culture, halfling culture?
Yeah, so we dug deep in this with our concept artist Sabrina, and talked about different cultures and world building and stuff like that. So our elf culture, so I said earlier, what I really wanted to do was I wanted to start these races off in where you typically would see them. A very tropey, very Tolkien starting place. You got your dwarves. They live in the mountains. They're great smiths. They love gemstones, you know.
Yeah.
You got your elves. They live in the forest. They're graceful. Halflings, they're very kind of almost German. They love drinking beer. They have festivals all the time. They love eating. Goblins, they were kind of viewed as not great, 1,000 years ago.
Oh, video went down. Be right back.
Let's see.
Did you click something?
No. It's just trying to reconnect.
I like the screen.
Uh-huh. Oh, should be back up now.
Here we go. We're back.
Are we back?
We're back.
Okay.
Yeah, little connection issue there.
Yeah, don't know what happened. Just cut out for a second. So yeah, and then goblins, you've got they're not viewed well. They're kind of almost somebody didn't pay the internet bill. Man, let me tell you, I went through the ringer last weekend with Xfinity. So
yeah, not
they
fun.
better be giving me the internet I'm paying for, otherwise I'm grumpy.
Yeah, so, and if you want to see more about our cultures, we do have more on the Kickstarter page.
Yeah.
And there will be more coming out as we...
But the idea was to start them off in a place that was very familiar, and then have the world events shift them into a new place. So for elves, it's very piratey. We're looking at kind of very Spanish sort of style.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got your dwarves, and they're tribal dwarves. We really were looking at, I forget the. We looked at like the Dothraki from Game of Thrones, and Sabrina did a lot of research on. I can't remember the culture it is, but the dudes with the crazy hairdo that's all cut here and then wrapped around. So we took a lot from there. Halflings kind of stayed the same, except it's just much more of a tragedy what happened to them, and there's not a lot of them around anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they're kind of bitter, instead of, they can still be jovial, with their family.
Exactly.
But they kind of have a bitter outlook on life now. And then the goblins, they're kind of they kind of took over where the elves were the graceful ones. They're now the graceful kind of aristocratic sort of race.
Yeah.
And then you got humans who are just humans.
Aren't they always just
Aren't
humans?
they always?
Yeah. All right, so we got some elf names. Do you want to pick 2 or 3? You can do 3.
Sure, we can. Yeah, we can do 3. That would be fine.
Yeah, we got some good ones here.
I'll let you go first.
Okay, let's see. Let me read all these. Okay, all right. I'll pick first. All right, I'm really liking these. I like Tariel, Tahriel. I assume it could be pronounced
Tahriel.
I really like that one. And then I like the one he just said, Taya, T-A-Y, Taya or Taya. And I think, as funny as it is, I do like my dad said Eliza, and Eliza? I do kind of, which right. I'm sure, that's my sister's name. We call her Eliza sometimes, but I do like an Eliza.
Cool.
So if you get those down, Tariel, Taya, and Eliza. Yeah,
those are good. I'll let Caleb write those, and then I will give him mine.
This will be a fun one for him to write all these.
Yeah. I'm really liking Lyrian.
Lyrian, that's a good one, yeah.
That's very good. Let's see. Let's do Rena.
Rena, okay.
And then we'll do Ulison.
Okay. Yeah, that's a short for Ula.
Ula.
That would be good.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right, we'll give Caleb a second to get those down. You might have to repeat them.
Yeah, so Lyrian, Rena, and Ulison. Oh, they're all right in a row there. That's funny.
Ulison, which is Ulacyne. If you didn't get that, Caleb.
So he's gonna, I'm sure he's typing away at the speed of sound, and he will post that here in a second. We got a question from Mr. Kishi. No evil races such as orcs or undead or something of that sort. No, we wanted to steer away from the evil race,
or at least the inherently evil. You know,
nothing inherently evil. Yeah, we didn't want that inherently evil kind of background.
Because it's a little tropey, and it's kind of just like, well, these people are evil because they're evil.
Because that's how they were born.
That's how it is.
Spell it one more time. UlacYne.
Yeah.
Ulison.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna steer. There will be evil people in our world, but it doesn't necessarily mean.
And these there are people in the races. It's more real that way. Just
exactly
having these people who the race isn't necessarily evil, but you have evil people within the race.
Exactly.
I did play around with adding orcs into the world, because since we were really playing with cultures and stuff, and steeping these races into kind of our own world cultures that we have here on Earth. I really wanted to play with orc Vikings, orc Norse.
Yeah, that would be
people.
Cool.
And the idea behind that was that Vikings, when they came over and were invading England and Ireland, they were pillaging, they were raping, they were viewed as monsters. And it's like, wait a second, Vikings pillaging, raping monsters, orcs pillaging, raping monsters. Why does that work so well?
Exactly.
And so it's like, dude, orcs are just Vikings. It didn't make it into Tavern Brawl, but it is a separate project I have been working on for another thing.
Yeah. So, needless to say, nothing inherently evil, but if there are any, more evil races, it'd be like looking at Game of Thrones and saying the Dothraki are evil. and which I don't think is true. You know, it's
culture. Yeah.
It's your perspective.
Yeah.
But certainly nothing like the orcs. So,
No.
all right, we got the poll up. If you guys haven't seen, Caleb linked it on the chat.
Absolutely.
So go ahead and vote for your names. We got them all up there. So let's see some votes.
He who's Matt says gnolls aren't evil; they just think you taste good. That is true.
Exactly. If anyone has any other questions for us, feel free.
Let's make sure
I'm trying to think
all of these up here.
If there's anything else we've wanted to talk about. We could talk about. Let's see. We gave a little bit about the time period of when our story takes place. If anyone has any more story type questions, or we're still obviously working on it. We've got a pretty solid foundation, but if anyone has any other story type questions, I think we've covered most of our production issues. We talked about it earlier, but we are kind of waiting on the COVID-19 situation. So that's a holdup.
Definitely. Raya says, have you guys had any problems getting your project name out there since Tavern Brawl can be synonymous with Hearthstone? That was a concern at the very beginning. And when you do look up Tavern Brawl on YouTube, it does pop up with lots of Tavern Brawl things from there's a famous online card player. I think his name is Trump. He plays all sorts of stuff, so he's got a bunch of videos on it. But Wayfarer is up there on the list, so that's good. We were kind of worried about copyright, but we did a little bit of research and saw that it wasn't copyrighted. So, and now as soon as I said that,
yeah, they're gonna copyright it, but
it's gone. We'll have to change the name.
Yeah, which I mean wouldn't be the end of the world, but we like Tavern Brawl, so hopefully we don't.
I mean, it encompasses our entire idea.
Yeah. Elizabeth says, when was the last time either of you shaved? Been a month. Actually, exactly a month for me.
Wow.
Which is the longest I've gone for a while. It's probably been months for you?
Yeah, I trimmed my beard short for our premiere.
Wow, which was in
February. So that was the last time I took a razor to my face.
Okay. We have another question. What is the tech level of your world? Bronze, iron, etc.
So it's interesting because you could tell this is where I'm influenced by Warhammer so much. So it's kind of in this semi-industrial time where firearms are, I wouldn't say commonplace, but they're around.
Yeah, it's more of a luxury item.
Yeah, definitely. So we have firearms in our world, flintlock rifles, long rifles, blunderbusses, stuff like that. We have sewage systems. There are privy rooms, not necessarily running water. There would be like cisterns for running water kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say we're almost kind of in the colonial America age of technology.
Yeah.
Like we have ships, we have guns. It's not that, not as commonplace as say like, in colonial America, everybody has a rifle. Hunting, but in terms of the technology where we're at, and actually Wes asked, you talked about magic being rare and powerful in the world. Is there any technology that we might see? Would technology potentially interact with the magic in the world? Which kind of goes in with what we're saying. So yeah, again, with the technology, it's going to be a big part of our world because a lot of fantasy stuff, just like having guns in fantasy, is not as common.
No.
And seeing technology interact with magic is not something we're really going to see probably in the first episode, but it is something that happens in our world. If you want to talk about how, I know we talked about back when Arctium was more of a abundant source, there were, races who used it for other means besides just, doing magic. It was
yeah.
industrial.
So essentially the goblins are responsible for most of the massive technological boosts that has happened to the world. They are responsible for, they came up with sewers, the idea of sewer systems. They came up with cisterns, pianos, clockwork, so like clocks, stuff like that. That's all goblins. But they also played around with trying to use Arctium, which
almost
is magical
in like almost in like a nuclear, like if you picture like nuclear power in terms of like harnessing its energy to be able to power like steam engines and things like that. They played around with that.
Absolutely, they played around with it. And that of course was 200 and more years ago. Where we're at now in the story, Arctium is not viewed well.
And it's extremely, extremely rare.
It's very rare.
Most people could go their life without seeing it.
Yeah, and it's so rare because there's kind of been a culling of Arctium by this group who is against magic.
Yes.
So anything that happens with Arctium now is sort of an underground, illegal, criminal, act, smuggling. You might even see some interesting drug use with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was something they tried to play around with, and unfortunately now it's frowned upon. That doesn't mean there aren't people who are doing that, though.
Exactly. The knowledge is still there, but it's not something that's going to be regularly seen as it was 200 years ago. So
yeah, absolutely.
Caleb asks, are we going to be seeing any heroes of the story other than Greywall?
Like heroes in the respect of like a regular fantasy show heroes.
We'll have
you'll see adventurers. There will be lots of adventurers in our story, but we're kind of giving them the treatment that the Tavern Keeps have been getting for years.
Exactly.
So they'll be around and they'll get the one line. It's like, oh, there's the adventurer in the corner. He's drinking, his sixth ale, and he.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to be the heroes. The hero trope of our story are not going to be the heroes of our story.
Yeah, absolutely. But yes, you will be seeing lots of adventurers and how our characters view adventurers.
Exactly. Are the goblins in the world more Harry Potter-esque or more Warcraft-esque?
They would be more Warcraft in the sense of engineering.
Yeah, and physically, the goblins are going to be pretty regular sized.
Yeah, they're not the small, creepy looking.
If you want to, I believe we have a picture of one on our website, right? Is that still up there? I believe if you scroll, if you go to stormforgestudios.com and scroll to the bottom, you'll see one of our concept art. We have a goblin, and they're more, human-sized, and they dress pretty eloquently and colonial style, and have, more human features and less like these little creepy, bent-over goblin-looking.
Yeah, but their culture is very much focused on being merchants or being these kind of engineers that they're really focused on like intelligence and class and stature.
Yes, like basically bald green elves, essentially.
that's right, bald green elves. Like adventurers rolling through as a cold open. Yes, and we have a very fun opening scene that shows how our story is going to be different.
Yes.
I think our.
You want to look at our poll? And we're tied.
We're
tied for Eliza and Ulyssene.
So.
Okay. We need someone to come break this tie. If you haven't voted yet, vote on that poll.
Why don't we do this, Caleb? Why don't you make a new poll with just Eliza and Ulyssene?
Yeah, that'll
be
everyone
funny. Revote.
Eliza or Ulyssene, both good names.
Oh yeah, great.
And if anyone has any other questions, we're we are happy to talk about our world when we've put a lot of thought into it. And unfortunately, the worst part about doing this show is that we are not going to be able to
Show you everything that
show
we
you
wish.
everything. Yeah, like that's been our biggest thing is we have so many good ideas
Mm-hmm.
and we have to cram it all. Our pilot is going to be long, but we have to try and cram it all into this
hour.
time period without it being too much. So
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to overwhelm people, and that's something that that's another big.
yeah, that's something
another
we don't
big
want to
thing
do.
that happens in fantasy is you get your cold open, it opens up on the map, and then it goes, it's like
Yeah,
it's like in the kingdom of Sasakoria, there was the Toriani people, and the Toriana people were at war with the Sogi Togi people, and it's like
basically like a vomit of
it's
useless
literally,
words.
They open up your ear and just go blah, and and then
Yeah,
it's just like blah.
yeah, it's
books,
like way too much.
books, games, and comics. That is absolutely something we've discussed. We really would like to do some audio dramas that we will consider. We have also considered doing graphic novels. So
Could see a Tavern Brawl board game too. That'd be fun.
absolutely, a Tavern Brawl board game would be awesome.
How's our drinking song, James?
Our drinking song. I have reached out to. We have a tune. Brendan wrote us our kind of main melody for our drinking song, and then we reached out to Ryan Baker, who did our Adventurous Respite and the music for the Wayfarer. But I have not heard back from him yet, so we will be addressing that and trying to figure that out.
Yeah, we might not be able to have a music video for it, at least yet.
At least,
But it definitely is going to work its way into the pilot in some regard.
yeah, absolutely.
And it'll probably be something we independently release before as a thank you to everyone who helped us get to the first stretch goal.
Yeah, we will have a music video. It's just we're the guy who we want to work with isn't responding, so we will probably reach out to some other people to see if they would be interested in producing the song. But the melody is done. At least the lyrics aren't necessarily done, but the song melody is done.
Yeah, and it's good. It's really fun.
And actually, that's part of the reason why we decided to do the character creation, which was a stretch goal.
Yeah,
but we felt it would be a lot of fun to do this, and because the song is going to take longer than.
And everybody's stuck at home, and this is just a fun way to. And I think we will plan on doing another one of these as we get closer to kind of update people, and we'll, try and do it in another creative way to make it more interesting, that we're not just sitting here and blabbering on.
Yeah.
So let's try. Oh, we still got some votes coming in.
Yep, we still have votes coming in. Go ahead and.
Well, if you haven't voted yet, go vote on our last poll for the name between Ulysine and Eliza. Yes, this will be the character's name.
We first name, and then we'll do her last name next. There is a naming convention for elves and their last names, so I guess I can explain that.
Yes.
So the naming convention for elves' last names are kind of like what's the best way to say it? It's an adjective typically, followed by some sort of noun. So, for instance, Gladwind, or let's see, what's another one? Bright Crown. Something like that. So it's typically adjective, noun.
Though, if you think of something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something else good.
We'll take everything, but that is how we have been naming elves. Silverleaf.
And yeah, any other questions? We will probably do another one of these. We more fun to keep people updated than just like us typing something out.
Typing something out, and plus it's really fun to chat with people. Also, thanks to let me get back there. Riot Papaya and Credit Clown, they both subbed to me on Twitch.
Oh, nice.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Got that Twitch Prime.
Saucy Mama. Bam. It's perfect. Perfect last name.
I guess we could also talk about our crew, James.
Yes, so we are looking for crew members who are interested in helping and work with us. Our biggest one is we are looking for a director of photography, cinematographer. Just because John and we feel that the Wayfarer suffered in some ways because we had taken too much on.
Too much. We tried to do too much, just me and him, and me and him were the only people who really knew what was going on. And so basically, I was the director of photography for the Wayfarer, and I have a good bit of experience doing that. But at the same time, being an executive producer and director and writing it and everything, it's going to be too much if I'm trying to shoot it, because essentially what it boiled down to last time was I was setting up the shots. James was literally doing everything else on production of the Wayfarer, dealing with costumes, props, directing, giving people scripts. We were figuring out food, we were figuring out transportation. It was too much. And so him and I both agreed that we are looking for a director of photography. That's probably going to, be someone who knows what they're doing, and to the point where they can we can share their vision, and we can kind of let them take on the burden of dealing with that, where we can actually focus on directing actors, which is kind of what we both want to do.
Absolutely.
And make sure that the acting is top notch, because if that is if that suffers in our pilot, then it's not going to get anywhere, and we were really lucky in our short film, and Josh and everybody did great with very little directing.
Really did amazing with the very little direction we really gave them, because we were all over the place. I was making sure this was going wrong, this was not this and this and this, and so we've reached out to some people about talking about being producers who would kind of take on these roles on set and even offset.
And we're also looking for people to help with construction. We're going to have a lot of construction, a lot of, again, we're not going to be able to pay people, but we're going to be able to, you will receive food. We're going to be, extremely, extremely thankful, and it's going to be really fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. And James and I have both worked on stuff where we know how we like to be treated on set. And so we're going to treat people the way that we want to be treated. And so, we're in that phase where we have to start thinking about it. It's not super urgent, but we've kind of both come to the realization that we cannot do everything ourselves.
Not without Tavern Brawl
suffering
from it. And it might not suffer a lot, but it could take it from amazing to good.
Yes, and where we're at, because we don't have the luxury of having somebody funding us, like a big studio and saying they're going to pick us up. Where we're at, if it suffers, that's it. It's a big deal, and that's it. And so we want to be able to have it in its best form possible, with and basically be able to have the best possible product, or else it's the end for everything. And so everybody who helps on it, we're going to be, if we get picked up and we're planning on it, we're going to do everything we can.
Absolutely.
That if it happens, then we're, you're coming with us, and we're going to make a TV show. We're going to make season 1 of Tavern Brawl, and everybody's going to come along for the ride, and it's going to be awesome. So if anyone, we have a link, I believe, on the Kickstarter.
And I can, so here's a little Google form. If you're interested in helping out with the show, go ahead and follow that link and just fill it out, so that we know how to get in contact with you.
And not necessarily just people in the Pacific Northwest.
No, anyone, anywhere. I mean, we're gonna need help with costumes, sewing, makeup,
Props,
people just on set. You know,
helping.
yeah,
Yeah, it's films and any kind of film production takes at least 5 times more people than you'd think, because you have to think about transportation, you have to think about construction, you have to think about people, moving people around, and you have to think about people holding things and setting up lights, making things safe, making scheduling things. It's a lot. It's a big
there's a lot goes into it.
Yeah, like Caleb said, communication and scheduling is huge. And that's something that if we tried to take it all on ourselves, which as much as we like to do that, me and James both like being in control of everything.
Oh, absolutely. It's to our detriment, I think.
But ultimately, our brains will be fried when we say action. We won't be able to pay attention whatsoever to what's happening, because we'll be thinking about, oh, where is this person going to get this? And where's this costume? And who's going to, bring this to this, it's just too, and that's why modern, film set, most of them have the luxury of having like a huge crew and, having people, literally someone there for every single job. And so we don't have that luxury, but we're going to try and make the most of what we have. And anyone who wants to help are going to be like extremely grateful.
Definitely.
So
let's close that poll, Caleb, and see who our winner is.
Looks like we got Ulysine. Okay,
cool.
That's awesome. That was the dark horse of it for sure, and she won. Ulysine.
It's very
okay.
elfy.
It is good. That's a good name.
Uh-huh.
All right,
so last name. Let's start getting them in there. Typically, our naming convention for elves is adjective plus noun. Silverleaf, bright crown, blackwood.
Yeah.
Something elfy. That's definitely something they kept. Was their sort of naturey and graceful last names.
But you can also throw in some piratey stuff, or
throw in some saucy mamas if you like.
Yeah. So yeah, throw those out there, and we'll start getting those together. And this will be our last poll, and then our character is going to be done. And this is going to be this will be a living, breathing person on our show, and they're going to be on Tavern Brawl. So
absolutely,
choose wisely. White Claw, I like that. Maybe they'll sponsor us.
Maybe.
Yeah, that'd be funny. And if any other questions, we talked about crew, production. It ultimately is coming down to James and I finishing the script. We're working really, really hard.
Yeah, we're really digging really deep into these characters,
and
you honestly probably won't see much of this, at least 90%
of what we've been talking about.
But it really helps us. You have to essentially live the character's life to really write them so well.
Exactly. And like we said earlier, it's going to be a character-based story, and so everything revolves around these characters. So
absolutely, yeah.
It doesn't matter how cool your set is or how awesome your world and magic. Everything essentially revolves around how real your characters feel, and they're going to change even more when we cast it, like we said earlier. So
yeah, absolutely, and I'm so excited to see how
casting comes
along and how those characters change based on the actors. Man, that's going to be so cool.
Yeah, and it was cool seeing when Josh, what he brought to Greywall, and essentially like Greywall completely transformed as a character once Josh got a hold of him, and for the better. Like he ended up being so much cooler than we could ever think. And that's what basically decided for us to be like, hey, Greywall is definitely
he's got to be in this, and we need to make him.
Exactly.
I think of that, even like it wasn't even originally going to be Greywall, like this character who was super
Yeah.
important to my RPGs. It was just the storyteller.
Yeah, literally in our script, it's just storyteller, right?
It's just storyteller, yeah. Until
Yeah.
finally it was like, you know what? Josh is gonna do. He's doing such a great job with this. You know, I want to bring Greywall to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting some good ones.
Oh,
Wait
yeah.
a couple more minutes and get some more.
Yeah, good deep character development is what makes a good story. It is.
Absolutely. Earlier in the stream, I said that, you know, you should be able to transplant your
Yeah.
characters from setting to setting, and without having to change the character that much, you should still have a really great story. I was thinking about this at work the other day. I was thinking about The Last of Us, because The Last of Us 2 is coming out this next month. And Craig Mazin, writer of Chernobyl, is spearheading the HBO show for Last of Us.
It's gonna be
so
awesome.
I've been thinking about The Last of Us pretty often, and just like, you know, I know their setting is like post-apocalyptic mushroom zombies, fungal zombies, but it's like you could take that same story,
transport it,
get rid of the zombies, and put it in a medieval setting, and have it be instead of having it be zombies, it could be a plague, and it would still be the same, and it would be incredible.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how you know your story's good. And so we're gonna write this outline. We're pretty much done with it. We're gonna do the script. We're gonna probably rewrite the script, and then probably rewrite it again, because
absolutely
we're writing the story now without any mind for money. And that's might be considered stupid to some people, but it's a good storytelling approach to take, because you don't want to like limit yourself to what you can and can't do. And so what we're going to do is write our whole story, and then as we reread it and go back through it, we're going to take it through the eyes of a producer, be like, hey, you know, as cool as I would like Oscar to fly a dragon over a castle, we're not going to be able to afford those visual effects. We're going to have to figure out how can we get this emotion of this scene and like turn it into something we can do. And so those are the edits we're going to make, because ultimately we are on a strict budget, and we're going to have to cut some stuff that we're going to really not want to cut. So that's going to be sad, but you know, that's just the situation we're in. And so
that's the biz, baby.
That's the biz. And so we're going to have to probably do a couple of rewrites, and then, you know, I'm sure as we get down to it and we have a final script, I'm sure it's still going to change as we're filming, you know, things as we cast people, as, you know, sets change and people change, you know, there's just so many factors that go into the story. But I think we have a pretty good understanding of our characters right now, and where they're going to go. So
absolutely. All right, you ready to pick some?
Yeah, we got some pretty good ones here.
Absolutely. I think I went first last time, so you can go first this time.
All right, you want to do 3 again?
Or
2?
Let's do 2.
Okay. All right, let me read give me a second.
Some good ones in here, man.
No, these are goods. All right. My first one is definitely going to be Amberwood.
Okay.
I really like Amberwood. That's cool. And I really like Gray Spear, but it might be too close to Gray Wall, so people might get confused. Yeah. That is an awesome last name, though.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Might have to put a pin in that one. And ooh, yeah, that's Amberwood. I think I'm gonna have to do Amberwood and Brightleaf.
Okay. Yeah, those are good, man.
Yeah.
I like. Goodness, I like so many of these. I will go with Swift Sea.
Okay.
And
Swift Sea. That's kind of a tongue twister, but that's cool.
and I'll actually go with Elwyn, the unconventional.
Elwyn, Swift Sea and Elwyn. Okay, so Caleb, that is Amberwood, and what was my other one? Amberwood and Brightleaf. Amberwood, Brightleaf, Elwyn, and Swift Sea.
Swift Sea.
Okay.
All right. And there is the straw poll. John, I just had an incredible idea.
What?
If we have an innkeeper, they need to have an inn, and that
So
inn
we
needs
need
to
to
have a name. So why don't we let these guys
Bonus poll.
bonus poll? So after this, we'll come up with a tavern name for the tavern on the other side of town.
The rival tavern.
Yes, this
As it will.
This is gonna be really fun.
Okay, yeah, I'm down. The rival tavern. So start dreaming up some rival tavern names.
Meanwhile, we'll answer some more questions, or we can just chat about, what have you.
Yeah, we for those who missed in the beginning, our Kickstarter rewards are going out. They'll be going out soon as, restrictions kind of let up. We do have, we have pretty much everything already prototyped, and we're just waiting to order because there's some international stuff that we have to deal with. And so we want to make sure that that's not going to be a big issue. So it will be soon, I would say, before the end of summer. So
can we get a phonetic of how you want to pronounce the first name? I would pronounce it Ulysine.
Ulysine. Or Ulyssine, or Eula.
Ulyssine, Ulysine.
Yeah,
probably
Eula?
Ulyssine.
Ulyssine. And then the nickname will be Ula.
Ula, yeah, nickname Ula.
Like Oolah pronunciation, Ula.
Yeah, Ulyssine.
Yeah, I think I'm good with Ula, because that's kind of a funny nickname.
Mm-hmm.
Ula. Yeah. Ooh. So it's the phonetical is like OOH,
yeah.
not YOU. OOH. Ulyssine. Yeah, and then the last name.
Bionic Draft says, remind me of the name of the OG Tavern. If you're talking OG Tavern, very first Warhammer game, that would be the Strutting Cock, which is making an appearance. Oh, okay, the Wayfarer's Rest. That's the regular one.
Yeah, this is our tavern sign, essentially.
Yep. The Wayfarer's Rest, or the Strutting Cock, will make an appearance.
Yes, the Strutting Cock will make an appearance. But the Wayfarer's Rest is the name of our main tavern, and so obviously you can have fun with the name, but we would like to keep it, keep it in our realm, so to say.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so Ulyssine.
Ulyssine. That's a cool name.
That's cool.
I would have never thought of that name.
Nope.
This is why we should just have Twitch chat write the entire story for us. How about that?
I have played around with the idea of doing that.
It'd probably end up being pretty insane.
Writing the whole script. Do you remember when they did I forget what they call them now. Everyone plays?
Yeah.
You play Pokemon or something like that?
Yeah. And then everyone picks. Did you see the video of Twitch chat trying to fly a plane in Grand Theft Auto?
No.
This guy made a program that the Twitch chat had to type a direction, and it would translate to they had to try and keep the plane up in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, they essentially did the same thing for one of the Pokemon games.
Yeah.
Where they had to get through the whole game, and so they're constantly trying to catch. It was like a phenomena. Twitch plays, that's what they were called. Thank you, Levi.
Eddie says, what have you been binge watching on or binge gaming during the quarantine? That's a good question.
Man. Me and my buddies really got into Sea of Thieves for a while. 4 weeks straight. Just playing Sea of Thieves a lot. we've been now we're on to Monster Hunter Worlds, which has been a lot of fun. It's one of those games where I was like, it's been out for a while, and I just didn't know if I would like it or not, so I never bought it. But finally, the new DLC came out for it a while back, so I was finally like, okay, I guess I'll take the plunge. And I really like it a lot.
Yeah. Let's see. I've been playing some Sea of Thieves too.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching a lot of stuff. I mean, who hasn't? But obviously, Better Call Saul has been awesome. It's like one of the best shows on television right now. Best character-driven shows. There's a couple other, like, I've been watching a lot of first season pilot stuff because I've been trying to get in that mindset of writing this pilot and seeing how other shows do it. So I saw there's the guy Greg Daniels, who did The Office, did that show Upload, which it's a pretty cool show. It's kind of like a Black Mirror type world that they're setting up. It's on Amazon Prime if you haven't seen that. And then I've also watched the latest season of Outlander, which that is a fantastic show that I've been telling James to watch.
Yeah. I find myself rewatching things to get myself in the mindset. So I've rewatched the pilot for Firefly recently. I rewatched the pilot for The Witcher. It's probably getting about that time to do my yearly Lord of the Rings watch.
I already did it.
Yeah,
Mackenzie saw it for the first time.
What did she think of it?
She liked it. She didn't really like Frodo.
What?
She thought he was annoying, he is.
He does get whiny.
Yeah, but that's what I was trying to tell her. I'm like, that's just who his character is. Like, that's not a fault of the actor. It's like, that's honestly.
Yeah, that's just Frodo.
Yeah, and you know, hobbits are emotional, and they're you know, kind of like a child, and so that's who he is. But she liked The Fellowship, and she wasn't crazy about Return of the King, which I'm kind of the opposite. But you want to check out our last names? Looks like we have a pretty clear winner here.
Let's take a look.
Looks like it's Amberwood.
Amberwood.
All right, Ulysses Amberwood. That's kind of a mouthful, but I like it.
That's cool.
Ulysses
Amberwood.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Well, good job on that. Now, our last bonus poll here, we're going to do we're naming the tavern where they're basically the rival tavern. It's not necessarily going to be like Ulysses is not going to be a antagonist of our show, but we do have a tavern that is in competition with our tavern, and it is a kind of source of frustration for Oscar. So think of some names, put them in chat. We'll do the same type of thing and be creative. They can be as funny, ridiculous, cool. We already have the Wayfarer's Rest and the Strutting Cock as the tavern name. So yeah, feel free to throw out some other ones. We have a question: what are your favorite swords and sorcery fantasy-based movies and TV shows?
Yeah, I mean, I like. You gotta have Conan. Conan's got to be up there, you know. My dad also mentioned that he's been trying to get me to play Conan Exiles, and I just can't get into it.
Yeah.
But man, like that first Conan movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger that's a good movie. And I was just talking. It's really weird. I was just talking with a coworker about Conan the other day, and about how he was like, he thought the second movie was better. And I was like, first off, you're definitely wrong. But then we started talking about Red Sonja and about how Conan's in Red Sonja, and essentially he just really wants to sleep with Red Sonja. And so she says the only way she'll sleep with him is if he beats her in a fight, and then they just fight until they're too exhausted to move anymore. Very fun.
Yeah, that's a hard question for me.
You probably haven't seen a lot of sword and sorcery stuff.
No.
Yeah, I mean, they're not, let's see. Oh, man, I used to love The Scorpion King.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
With Dwayne The Rock Johnson, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was a great movie back in the day.
Really? Caleb said,
it's probably
what kind of
horrible.
props are you intending to use? Live steel, plastic?
You gotta. So they call props you see up close are called hero props.
Which are like
And
real metal, and then like, yeah, pretty much whenever you're doing any kind of action, you absolutely would never let any actor use that because they're heavy, they're dangerous,
yeah,
extremely dangerous, even if they're dull and expensive. So we will probably be using some kind of artificial, be it plastic, wood, foam, something of the sort. But then we do have a couple of metal objects that are going to be important to our story that we want to look real. So we will have some metal stuff that we will have made. But it is very expensive to do everything in metal. And even shows like Game of Thrones don't pretty much, unless you're seeing a detailed shot of it, it's not metal.
Yeah.
Especially like armor, because people can't be in a metal armor. Is extremely heavy and hot and dangerous for people to be like on horseback and stuff like that. So
yeah, and so there is a couple of swords. There will be one important sword in the story.
Maybe two.
Yeah, but probably two.
Yes.
That we will be having made.
But yeah, that's a good question. So we're, in terms of that, swords and armor, it is much cheaper, safer, and everything. And there are some insane props nowadays that look so real that it doesn't even make sense to do it in metal, and it's something you're going to see on the screen for a few seconds.
And it's going to be cheaper.
It's much cheaper. Getting some good taverns here. Let's
we'll take a couple more.
Yeah, we'll get some more.
You like Eddie's
AEA 12M. X Ash Archangel in. I think we might get sued for that.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
Yeah.
We'd get famous, though.
Yeah, we would.
Getting sued by Elon Musk.
Yeah, the props of our show is going to be a big. That's going to be a big expense for us because it is going to be a little bit of a prop heavy show. We have some pretty important props. We obviously have a gemstone. Arctium is in our story, and if you didn't get the hint at the end of the Wayfarer, Greywall does have an Arctium ring. So that is kind of like our main prop, but we're going to have some other swords and weapons, and we're going to have some guns. We're going to have some interesting armor. There it is. Don't point that at me. Careful.
This was made by our good friend Vrin.
Yeah, and this is a real metal ring. It's for those who haven't seen it. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, gorgeous.
And yeah, then costumes. There's a lot of in fact, almost all of our expenses are going to go into set props and
costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since we're not going the route of peasant medieval.
Yeah, there will be
a potato sack essentially.
Yeah, there will be some more intricate props and costumes and stuff. So, all right, if there's any more, we'll give it like another minute.
Yep,
Throw some out.
Another minute. Let's get a couple more.
Yeah,
tavern names in there. Go crazy.
Yeah.
How many of the props are coming out of James's family's closet? The entire Wayfarer came out of our closet.
For the most part, yeah.
My mom and dad made the Greywall's cloak and gambeson and tunic, but other than that, everything else was borrowed. You might even recognize some of that stuff, Rip.
Yep.
Yeah, but and we're very fortunate to have lots of friends in the SCA. Rip is one of them, and so we will be having one of our sets is going to be a camp, And that is actually going to be one of the easiest sets for us because we have so many SEA friends who have incredible pavilions and tents to set up. It's going to look really good.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, but yeah, the whole Wayfarer essentially came out of my parents' closet.
Yeah, that'll be fun, and I'm sure we will be using a lot of stuff again.
Absolutely. Yep, that stuff will definitely be in use. All right, last call for these tavern names, and then we're gonna get into it. I saw some suspiciously familiar armor that I believe I've hit. I believe it. I believe you have hit that armor many a time.
Yep, and I'm sure you will see more suspiciously familiar.
Yeah, I think specifically that brown breastplate, brown leather breastplate with the rings on it was Richard's. I don't know. My dad can attest to that. I don't remember.
Yeah. All right, you want to pick some?
All right, let's pick some.
I think I'm gonna have to pick 3 of these because there's so many good ones.
Yeah, we'll do 3.
You first.
All right. So for tavern names, I'm going to choose. Let's do Amberwood's Fancy.
Oh, that's a good one.
I like that. The Pinwheel.
The Pinwheel. That's a good one. The Slinking Mink. That's a funny one.
And I will do. Oh man, these are good. Man, this is hard.
I know.
And then I guess I will do the Boar's Den.
The Boar's Den. All right, so repeat those again for Caleb.
Okay, so we have Amberwood's Fancy, the Boar's Den, and the Pinwheel.
Okay. I know for a fact I'm gonna say the Blind Wolf.
Okay.
No, I like that one. And I'm gonna say, let's see. The Crooked Nose.
Okay.
And probably the Wounded Whale, just because that one sounds cool.
Yeah. Cool.
So the Crooked Nose, the Blind Wolf, and the Wounded Whale.
All right, Caleb.
If you can get all those rapidly typed as fast as you can.
And then this will be our last poll.
Yeah. We've got a pretty good character.
Absolutely. Not what I was expecting.
No.
But I think we are going to be able to work with it really well.
All right, there's the poll.
All right, poll is up.
All right, everybody has to vote for this one. This is the last one.
All right,
and this
last
is
one. Everyone in here.
Pretty impactful to our
vote.
story. So
Absolutely.
come and vote.
Yeah, this is fun.
And any other last questions you got for us?
Last call for questions as well.
We've got we have a little bit more time, but I think we've pretty much covered everything that we wanted to talk about in terms of like our production and our delays and how we're dealing with the coronavirus stuff. But I think we're in a good spot right now where we're lucky that we're able to
Caleb asks, how can I attain godhood? And I suppose the only way you could attain godhood would be to slay the dragon of the west, the griffin of the east, the cockatrice of the south, and the wyvern of the north. Partake in their blood, and then sacrifice yourself on an altar and hope it works.
All right. Wow.
That's what I got. Elizabeth says, "What are y'all gonna have for dinner tonight?"
Great question.
I was about to ask my wife, but she's not in the room. I have no idea. Me and my wife are doing Weight Watchers, so probably some form of chicken or turkey.
Something healthy.
Something healthy, which is okay. We've been getting used to it. That's fine. Do I wish I could have a big greasy burger? Absolutely, 110%. Levi asks, "How can I kill Caleb?" That's simple, as long as he doesn't achieve godhood. So you have to track him down before he kills the Dragon of the West, Griffin of the East, Wyvern of the North, and Cockatrice of the South.
Pretty much.
James will dine on rice cakes and tears. This is true. I actually have some rice cakes right here on my desk. That is hilarious.
Oh, yeah. So we have, if Tavern Brawl is super successful, what would be next? Universe expansion or?
I guess it depends, you know. It's like, of course we want to keep working on Tavern Brawl, but John and I have lots of other ideas that we want to
Yeah, it depends.
that we want to work on.
I think, you know, obviously we're really committed to Tavern Brawl and we want to get it, but I think that, yeah, the dream would be that we can establish a studio where we're able to kind of, you know, fund our own projects and get distribution, and, you know, there'll be a bunch of other cool projects we want to pursue. But I definitely think we want to take Tavern, you know, we have a big story planned out for Tavern Brawl where we could easily take it into like 4 or 5 seasons.
Absolutely.
And maybe more.
And there's lots of and we can absolutely expand on the universe.
Because the world is already so big, but there's so much room for improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have characters. There were actually going to be characters that were in the pilot that we ended up cutting.
Yeah.
Who we would love to explore
Exactly.
in other mediums. How long have y'all been doing Weight Watchers? I think this will be week 3. Starting week 3. We've done it in the past, but we finally decided it was like, we got to really, really try it this time. And it's been going, I mean, the first week was rough, and the second week was better.
Yeah, the first week of any diet is awful.
Oh,
Your body is like revolting against you.
Yeah, that first Monday, I remember getting home from work and being like, or no, it was Cinco de Mayo, and we made burritos, and I could only have one burrito, and it was like, it was withering away.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know that feeling.
Rest in peace.
But
yeah, John and I have lots of other ideas we would love to, other projects that we would love to work on. But it is a lot for just 2 people to.
Yeah, to even do one pilot of one episode of one season is like essentially a full-time job, and, you know, both of us have other jobs, so it's like, how, you know, so it's good. Hopefully it gets to the point where it can be our full-time job, because that would be awesome.
Yeah, Elizabeth says that's impressive, and in quarantine. Yeah, it's been rough.
Yes. Quarantine is.
Hellplug is out here asking us opinion on the agenda pushing step sibling porn.
Not sure.
It's you know, do what you do, I guess. Whatever.
When is the next one of these sessions? That's a good question.
We
have to talk about that. It'll be soonish. I mean, I think we want to get farther in the story, and we want to get a little bit more into production. But obviously, as production gets down to it, it's going to be harder to do this. So
yeah,
we'll see.
We definitely want to be open with everyone about the journey we are on.
So yeah, we're not just running away with everyone's money and saying thanks.
Thanks, and then, you know, 2 years later you finally see.
Yeah, something. But
we were pretty down low on the Wayfarer.
Yeah.
But we want to be more open, and we want to show everyone kind of this journey that we're on, because we're all in it together. And
Yeah.
yeah. All right,
So,
you ready to see what's up?
what we got?
What's on the other side of town?
Amberwood's Fancy.
Amberwood's Fancy.
All right.
All right.
That's a good
cool.
one.
That's good.
So, Ula Amberwood, and her tavern is called Amberwood's Fancy, which that's a classic name when it'd probably be her family tavern. Yeah,
absolutely.
For ages, and Wounded Whale was right up on it. That was a close second. But Amberwood's Fancy.
Raya asks, can you release what the opening season will be? Can we expect more rainy moods or hot season to influence the show? We will most likely be filming if things stay the same and we are not able to keep money over the year because of tax reasons. We will be filming during the winter.
Late fall,
early winter. So it will be rainy, which I think is not a bad thing, because we definitely impress upon one of our moods is stormy.
Yeah.
We have a lot to do with rain and storm.
But if things go right, we have the option that we might even be into spring of next year. So we'll see, just depending on how long everything takes. Hopefully we can get it done sooner than later, but there is so much pre-production that we have to do.
Yeah.
So much pre-production.
And release what the opening season will be. We can give you some Easter eggs. We definitely don't want to blow our story. We want that to be a surprise. But you will definitely be learning lots more about Grey Wall. We'll be introducing lots of new characters. We'll be establishing magic in the world.
And we've got a pretty cool antagonist set up, so...
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It'll be a lot of fun. Filming in Oregon means rain, some more rain. Absolutely. And we are going to embrace the rain here in Oregon. Oregon is also very beautiful in the fall and winter. Absolutely. We'll be, the main reason we want to film here in Oregon is, I just have a lot of... I'm really passionate about Oregon and just how
it's so many filming
here.
Locations. There's mountains, snow, deserts, rivers, waterfalls, ocean.
All within 4 hours of each other.
All every terrain everywhere. Whereas filming in Louisiana, you have swamp and you have ocean, and that's it.
And that's it.
Grass.
So we'll definitely be. I also have a lot of connections down here for filming medieval stuff. So.
Yeah, a lot more props and costumes, and
which is definitely a plus.
Yeah.
All right. Any last call for questions?
Yeah. Hitting the 3-hour mark here. Had a pretty good turnout. I appreciate everybody coming.
Definitely
helping us. I'm really happy with how our character ended up, and
yeah, me too.
It's going to be really fun to incorporate her into our show.
And Louisiana only has one season, and that's
hot. And that's what it is outside right now. Hot and steamy. Very steamy.
Ugh, steamy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of been how it is the last few weeks. It's just hot, humid, and a lot of rain.
Although it's horrid.
Not too bad today, but it is supposed to rain most of today and all week, so yeah, it's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was awesome having everybody here, and
that was a lot of fun.
If there's any last questions about production, James linked a thing again. We'll link it one more time. But if anybody wants to be a part and help, we're looking for all the help we can get.
Absolutely.
And if you're interested in casting, we don't have anything official yet that we're going to release, but when the time comes, we're going to do a casting call. We will link it on our Facebook. So
we will open up a local casting call where we will be able to at least you will be able to get to know the characters a little bit better, and then we will have video auditions.
Yeah, so best place to do that is on our Facebook. If you are on our Twitch right now and you don't have a link to our Facebook, James can link our Facebook. But yeah, that's kind of where we're going to be posting most of our updates, and you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter too. But Facebook is where we'll kind of keep the majority on our Stormforge Studios Facebook page. So yeah, if there's any other questions, any last final questions, if not, can wrap it up here shortly. You got anything else you want to say about Tavern Brawl, James?
No, I'm just really excited. I know we went dark a little bit after the Kickstarter.
We had COVID-19 essentially come and cloud everything, and everybody. We got very lucky. We skirted in at the end.
Yeah.
Our premiere was probably a week or two away from having to be canceled.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just incredible timing.
In fact, the Salem Cinema where it was at has essentially been closed from a week after our premiere until now.
Yeah.
So
we're just really excited to have everyone along on the journey, and know that we are working really hard to make something really special.
Yeah, and I know we've said it, but we want to thank everybody who donated.
Absolutely.
Because that was huge. We were so incredibly stunned that we got funded in 48 hours, and we were not thinking we were going to be.
We literally thought we'd be fighting every second until the last day, and incredibly fortunate not to have to do that.
Yeah, and to see the kind of love that everyone shared, and for those who didn't get to go to the premiere, we had a really good time, and almost completely filled the theater, and it was really fun getting to show the Wayfarer, which we've been working on. And I urge everybody who, if it's been a while, go watch the Wayfarer again, because after all this, lore and story we've told you, you can see how we incorporated some of that in the animated sequence. And so if you go to our Facebook, we have the animated portion or the entire short film, or it's on our website as well. But yeah, I urge everyone to give it a watch again, and we worked really hard on it, and best place to watch it is on our YouTube.
I will link.
But it's probably easiest to get there from our website, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you can look up. You could search up Tavern Brawl or the Wayfarer on YouTube, and I will send you.
Or you could just post it in the chat for those.
I'll send the chat.
Up to almost 2,000 views on it, which is cool.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, and if you go to our Facebook, we do have a version of it that's just the animated sequence, which is if you just want to see that, that's on our Facebook, and which is really really fun to make. But you can see kind of a lot of the lore we've been talking about, and hopefully it's only going to be more from here. But yeah, we want to say thanks to everybody, and this is just the beginning for us. It's going to start getting really exciting as we get into pre-production once we're done with the script, and we're already me and James are just getting super excited about getting to film this and have everybody be a part of it. And,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in and helping us create a character. I think the character did not turn out the way we thought it was going to, but I think it's going to be really fun to work Ulasine in.
Ulasine Amberwood.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much, and we will talk to you later.
All right. See you guys later.